Greetings, my friends. Great to have you here. It's Rush Limbaugh and the fastest week in media. We're already at Thursday. And looking forward to Friday. I mean, I can't believe it. Normally it's, I have Monday off, which not very often when I have Monday off, it makes sense. But I didn't have Monday off this week, and it's still unbelievably already Thursday. Here we are. At the Limbaugh Institute, telephone number, if you want to be on the program, is 800-282-2882. The email address, lrushmo@eibnet.com. A drive-by media, the regime ecstatic. New claims for jobless benefits fell sharply last week to their lowest level since April. Although, there's always an although or a but. Although a Labor Department official said government statisticians had problems seasonally adjusting the data. Well, then why publish the news? New claims for jobless benefits fell sharply to their lowest level since April, although a Labor Department official said that government statisticians had problems seasonally adjusting the data. Every week, every month, every quarter, we get government reports that are revised in the next cycle. They're never accurate, so why publish them? What's the hurry to put out bad numbers? In this case, they think they're good numbers. The number of claims is under 400,000, but they don't know for sure, which they even admit. It doesn't matter anyway. They're just to get the number out there because they know that that's all that'll be remembered about this, and that's all we're going to say about it. Because here's companion news from a Pew study. Hispanics make up the largest group of children in poverty. Hispanic children are now the largest group of kids who only have one cell phone, marking the first time in U.S. history that poor white children are outnumbered by another race or ethnicity. It's just not fair. It just is. Usually it's the majority of poor people are white kids, and now all of a sudden it's Hispanic for the first time, and that just isn't fair. This is from the Pew Hispanic Center. And this is another feather in Obama's already festooned hat, folks. This is exactly the kind of news he needs. The Democrats need poor, dependent people if they're going to stay in business. And if we don't have enough poverty at home, we'll import it. That's what our open borders policy is all about, importing poverty. And importing the number of potential registered voters for the Democrat Party. By the way, big news out of Venezuela, and it's really contradictory. The first bit of news is that Hugo Chavez from the UK Telegraph, suffering kidney failure, rushed to the emergency room of a military hospital, and it's reportedly very, very bad. Then there's an AP story that says Chavez calling everybody, denying it. No, don't believe these rumors. The president's fine. I'm going to be out of here pretty soon. I'm going to have licked this cancer. It doesn't matter. The Chavez regime denying that he's been hospitalized. They're saying the early reports are just a bunch of jokes or hyperbole or sarcasm, like Beverly Perdue says that she was just being sarcastic with her comment that congressional elections be suspended. You know who's really following this story? You know who's really making the drive-bys? The drive-bys are doing some interesting things here. The drive-bys are not letting this Bev Perdue story go. The local drive-bys in Raleigh, in North Carolina, and the national state-controlled media is focusing. It's almost like they want to get rid of this woman. They're harping on this as though she were a Republican. They're not bad. The locals did. I mean, the local, tried to cover for her, but the Obama-controlled media is not letting up. And ABC News, I have a long story here in the stack. ABC News is going after the regime on all of these solar energy companies that are being lent money by the taxpayers and the crony connections they have. All of these people getting the money are big bundlers or donors to Obama. The numbers are incredible. Not only the amount of money being given away, but to whom. And the ties they have to the energy department. ABC News is leading the pack on this. This story that they have is actually quite lengthy. I'll get to it as the program unfolds. Before your eyes and ears today. There's another story here. This is from Gallup. Democrats are dispirited about voting in 2012. This is bad news for the president. Democrats' net enthusiasm now trails Republicans' net enthusiasm. It's the way Gallup rates this. The Democrat net enthusiasm is +1. The Republican net enthusiasm is +28. So there's a 27 percentage point advantage in enthusiasm, voter enthusiasm for the Republicans. And they say that given that Obama's job approval rating continues to hover around 40% and he appears vulnerable in the general election, it's not surprising that Democrats are currently less enthusiastic than Republicans about voting in 2012. So this is why. And I've been trying to give you reasons why I'm right in speculating how bad it really is for Obama. Their internal polling shows his approval numbers and his reelect numbers, I think, far worse than what is being reported by the news media polling units. And I think the fact that he's saying and doing the things he's doing in the campaign, the class warfare business of trying to shore up the base, yesterday showing up at a Washington high school with nothing but black students in the frame sitting behind him. That's never been done before. It's always been a diverse group, mostly white students sitting behind. Now, because the congressional black Caucasians are not happy with Obama, he's got to shore that up. I mean, now you've got this voter enthusiasm thing, and this is Gallup, and the regime would tend to believe this. So what we've seen in the New York Times, a number of other state-controlled media outlets worried that Obama is taking their ideology with him down the tubes. And they don't want their ideology going down. They don't want socialism, Marxism, liberalism being discredited here. And if they have to jettison Obama in order to save the ideology, then they'll do that. Obama is failing his own party right now. So let's, a little timeline. Rush Limbaugh, January 2009. I hope he fails. Democrats, Gallup poll, 2011. We know he failed. Rush was right again. Damn. That's the timeline here. If Obama, and by the way, this Democrats dispirited about voting in 2012, it doesn't matter who the Republican nominee is. It's a generic thing. It's not Obama versus Herman Cain or Obama versus Perry or Obama versus Christie. No, it's just Obama versus a Republican. What this points out here is if Obama ran against Herman Cain, the election was held tomorrow, Cain might very well win. Why? Because Democrat voters have bedroom slipper intensity and the rest of us have marching shoe intensity. The regime likes to look at things in intensities of shoes. They have their other shoe strategy for the Palestinians and the Israelis, and Obama's out there telling congressional black Caucasians that they've got to get out of their bedroom slippers, put on their marching. Well, we never have been in our bedroom slippers. Our marching boots are on each and every day. Now, Herman Cain may trail Obama by a few points in a head-to-head poll that's out there right now, but voter enthusiasm is so strong for Republicans and so weak for Democrats that Cain, if the election were tomorrow, might very well overcome his current deficit in the polling data. As would, it seems, any other Republican. I'm just harping on Herman Cain because that tends to irritate the Democrats the most. Janine Garofalo, well-known high-headed comedian, high-foreheaded comedian, is out there saying the Republican support for Herman Cain is just to mask their racism. It's sort of a twist on the magic Negro thinking that a bunch of guilty white liberals voted for Obama because they felt guilty and they didn't want anybody thinking they were racist and they wanted to get rid of the nation's racist heritage. And so they voted for him with no other concerns being given any weight. So now the theory is that Republican support for Herman Cain is just to hide the fact that Republican voters are a bunch of racists. And it diffuse people thinking that we're racist for support Herman Cain. No, and you mean other than looking at things through the prism of race? No, it's an excellent point, El Snerdbo. The prism through which Democrats look at everything is identity politics. They see skin color first, then they see gender, then they see sexual orientation, and they tend to put everybody in a group and then make that group victims of something. It's a good point. That is how they look at the world. Anyway, the Gallup poll here says Republicans' enthusiasm for voting matches 2004 and exceeds 2008. It doesn't talk too much here about 2010, understandably so, because in 2010 the enthusiasm for the Republicans was off the chart. Got to take a quick time out. When we come back, the mainstream media, the drive-bys, are all caught up in what they are now claiming as a battle going on between the Republican establishment and me.
Listen to what the left doesn't want you to hear. Rush on the EIB Network.
I want my Al TV.
And you'll want your Al TV too.
Hi, I'm Al Gore. Remember me? Now I've got my own cable TV channel called Al TV.
Al TV, committed to being young and irreverent.
Cool, huh?
We'll discuss the issues that you care about, like global warming.
This is the sound of a cow threatening the world. They used to love that when I was vice president.
Call your cable operator and demand Al TV.
That's G-O-R-E.
Youthful and irreverent. Kind of like a radio shock jock.
With short hair.
It's Al TV.
I know you'll remember this. I'm the one who stuck his tongue down Tipper's throat at the convention.
Ew.
Tell those money-hungry cable operators you want your Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
The 1950s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
Nothing, sir.
Don't give me that. It's one of those C things.
A condom?
Don't take it out right now. I certainly hope you weren't planning to use the thing.
No, sir.
You won't now. I'm taking that C thing and destroying it.
Yes, sir, but just one thing. Don't tell my parents.
The 1990s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Yes, Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
I don't have a circle.
Just as I thought. Put this in your wallet right now.
This C thing?
It's a condom, Jimmy, and you better make plans right now to use it.
Yes, sir. I won't destroy your faith in me.
Good, Jimmy, but just one thing. Don't tell your parents.
This message has been brought to you by Bungee Condoms, celebrating 40 years of progress. From being hidden in your dad's wallet to being handed out in your schools. Bungee Condoms, where quality is more than just a word. It's a slogan.
Be an army of at least one. By volunteering for duty as a DNC seminar caller, you'll receive advanced basic training from our sensitive, caring professionals.
What's your number, soldier? 1-800-282-2885? How you gonna make it past the call screener if you don't know the number? Drop and give me 20 on the rotary dial. The rest of you, repeat after me. I love your show, and I always agree with you. And I voted for Bush.
And you'll earn promotions and medals.
Son, we're very proud of you. What's that medal for?
This one's for touch tone. This is for getting past the call screener, and this big one here is for actually talking to the host and flawlessly saying, I love your show, I always agree with you, and I voted for Bush.
Be on radio and say what we want you to say. All scripts provided by the Democratic National Committee. Help us take back our monopoly on public opinion. Volunteers especially needed from noon to 3 Eastern. Most Americans think that illegals should head back home. We used to think so too, till we realized illegals could pay 21% interest on their credit cards, just like the gringos. Introducing the all-new Bank of Amigo card. The Bank of Amigo card is the best friend an undocumented worker ever had. Packed with special features like bonus points for every day you're in our country. Good towards health care, border crossings, college education, fake IDs, and so much more. And the Bank of Amigo card is the only card endorsed by Senator John McCain.
If you need cash and can't wait till mañana, then the Bank of Amigo card is for you. Plus, the more you owe, the less likely you are to be deported.
There's no immigration check, no social security number required. Just sign your name, or anybody else's, on the dotted line.
Caramba, it's easier than sneaking in. Thanks, Bank of Amigo.
The Bank of Amigo card, because when it comes to money, we're all amigos.
Welcome back. Great to have you, Rush Limbaugh. Half my brain tied behind my back. Just to make it fair. Folks, one of the major reasons that the media, to the extent like ABC, ABC is treating this Solyndra business as though the president were a Republican. And I'm going to get to this as the program unfolds. I'm not trying to tease you with it. I'm just trying to stay organized here, and it's coming up when I say it's coming up. But they're going after him here on this, and ABC is taking the lead, and others are picking it up very slowly, but it's starting to happen. And I think a major reason why that the state-controlled media and the Congressional Black Caucasians are really laying into Obama. They don't want him moving to the center. They want him out there on the left edge. They want him defending and promoting the ideology. They don't want him doing anything that waters it down. They are convinced that it will win. They're convinced that if he moves to the center, he will lose. And they want an Obama re-election to be said to be a triumph of their ideology. It's a warning shot, actually, is what this is. They're saying, Barack, there's going to be more of this unless you stay true to the cause. Just my 2 cents, but of course, as you know, my 2 cents is worth anybody else's dollar bill. Okay. The drive-bys also think that there is an internecine battle going on between me and the nameless Republican establishment. Now, the Republican establishment does not want to be known to exist. The Republican establishment is going out of its way, and this is inside baseball stuff. This is not. In fact, this is one of the few times that this subject has even made it into mainstream news coverage. With the Republican establishment, the inside the Beltway media types, big money people in New York, rhinos, just let's think of them that way, or faux conservatives. They don't like the term Republican establishment, and they are trying to replace the word Republican with conservative. They are trying to make it out as though they are the new conservatives, that they define conservatism. And these would be some of the magazine publishers and some of the magazine writers, several of the so-called conservative intelligentsia, so forth. So I came in this morning, as I do every day, sat down here at my official broadcast desk, and the television's on. I got two of them in here. One's on Fox, and one, I guess, defaults on to MSNBC. And on the MSNBC monitor, there was F. Chuck Todd. And in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, small picture of Chris Christie, and right next to it, a small picture of me. Now, most people, oh, what's that, would have tuned in and turned up the volume and listened. I didn't. Certainly, I'm on TV every day. I can't stop what I do just to see what they're saying. You know, is that a big deal? Plus, I know that Cookie's up there rolling on this. So I'm going to find out if it's worthwhile anyway, because it's going to end up on the soundbite roster, which it has. Right here it is. The name of F. Chuck's show is a Daily Rundown. And here's what F. Chuck said today about the 2012 campaign and me.
Welcome to what a presidential primary is like in this conservative vetting test in 2012. And this campaign is like nothing we've ever seen in 2008, 2000, 1996. It's different. It's always been out there. It's always been a powerful force. But as Rush noted, the Republican establishment has always won out. Will they do that this time? And does Christie, as Rush Limbaugh's already put him in, part of the Republican establishment, is that already a mark against Christie?
So, what has apparently happened here is that members of the drive-bys heard my comments expressing reservations yesterday about portions of Christie's speech at the Reagan Library, Simi Valley, in which I bluntly said I cringed when I heard him talking about the need for compromise and bipartisanship and all that, and I said, we've already run John McCain, and that didn't work out. And at this stage, with the nation hanging in the balance, I started asking, with whom on the left do we compromise, and on what? So apparently now, this has been interpreted by the drive-bys. I have placed Christie in the Republican establishment, which is a no-no. That I do not like the Republican establishment. I'm wary of them. That they're not really conservatives, and so now, which is they're faux. They're quasi. I mean, they're conservative on certain things, but they live in the DC culture, and it matters to them what is said in the mainstream media about them and and so they will tailor what they say and what they write and who they hang around with to be approved by people who are not really our friends at the end of the day. So they have now F. Chuck here is connecting his dots and is concluding that I have written Christie off by tagging him a member of the Republican establishment. He's also pointing out that even though I do this, the Republican establishment generally prevails, i.e. McCain. Romney is a Republican establishment choice, but they're not really happy about that. Bill Kristol of the Weekly Standard had a piece last night. I swear, I read this. Kristol was chiding Perry, saying, look, it's not about you. You have a duty to run here. Just because you don't want to, that doesn't matter. I'm paraphrasing. This is Kristol speaking to Christie in a column that he wrote. It's not up to you, pal. Your country needs you. You don't have the right to be selfish about this. The country needs you. And I said, it's almost more, but Kristol trying to be the kingmaker or something. It was just weird.
New from Republican Pictures. Citizen McCain, the true-to-life story of a senator who was willing to go across the aisle.
Senator, when are you coming back?
Legendary were the accomplishments of John Foster McCain, a solid Republican senator, except for campaign finance reform, illegal immigration, tax cuts, Guantanamo.
You forgot global warming.
Having lost in his first bid for the presidency, he wins his party's nomination in 2008 with a new tactic.
I am today what I have always been, a conservative.
Citizen McCain, starring the veteran director John McCain, star of such memorable films as The McCain Mutiny, The Gang of 14, and the popular C-SPAN TV series Maverick.
I don't care if I am the only Republican in this town to vote with Ted Kennedy. He's right.
A potent figure in the media who held dominion over the Senate, McCain is somewhat cautious on the campaign trail.
I believe that the policies of Rosebud are
Rosebud?
what this country
What does he
needs.
mean, Rosebud?
What this country
He
needs.
can't bring himself to say Barack Hussein Obama. Doesn't want to offend anyone.
Citizen McCain, playing everywhere until the first Tuesday in November.
One day in the not too distant future. Now, from the same people who brought you the popular self-paying mortgage, Obamacare, from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, a national health care insurance plan with no deductible, no copay.
No way!
Yes, you can have health care that costs you absolutely nothing, unless you earn more than $250,000 in your lifetime.
That's unbelievable!
Not really. As you know, socialism can do anything. Some people have criticized my friend Hugo Chavez for doing the exact same thing. But those people have either fled the country or gone missing.
Don't you miss out. Sign up for Obamacare today or face fines and imprisonment for up to 5 years.
Obamacare from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They put the free in freedom.
Cost savings may affect coverage. Plan does not include politically incorrect diseases or conditions. Maximum benefits not to exceed $250. And now, Andy Griffith for Obamacare.
1965. A lot of good things came out that year, like Medicare. And now we got us Obamacare. And this year, just like always, you're going to have your guaranteed benefits right up until the time you get sick. So all you old angry white folks out there joining the tea parties and protesting and all, just calm down and be a good cracker. Good cracker. Tell them the new rules, Barney. Well, you see, it's like this. Here in Washington, everybody has to play by the rules. And we've developed a rule book just for you there at home. 62,528 new rules to help you through the process of healthcare in an orderly, organized fashion. Rule number 1. There are no peanut butter and jelly sandwiches allowed in any hospital day or night, 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Rule number 2. If any named insured of a qualified plan gets sick, he or she must fill out request form 24/7.
For more information on Obamacare and how it affects those 65 and older, just get sick and you'll find out.
I didn't print the Crystal piece out, so I'm paraphrasing it. And I'll acknowledge I might be exaggerating a bit, but it really was themed. It was a piece to Christie, really upset that Christie had said what he had said to the woman in a Q&A about he has to feel it inside. It has to be inside him, this decision to run. It's great that all these other people want him to, but it's got to be inside him. However, there's a new wrench that's been thrown into this now. New York Post is reporting that Christie is giving this real serious consideration now because Republicans that he idolizes have urged him to do it. One of the Republicans he idolizes, Nancy Reagan. And I don't know if you noticed, but Nancy Reagan was giving him the old I love Ronnie facial expression and approval. During that speech, they'd cut to Nancy, and she was nodding, and the same look on her face as she had listening to her own husband. And Henry Kissinger has urged Christie to run. This is another Republican that Christie idolizes. And there's a third, I can't recall. Oh, it is Bush, George W. Bush. Yeah, it's exactly right. So George W. Bush, Nancy Reagan, and Henry Kissinger have urged Christie to run. And the New York Post is really, really, really considering it now. So the Crystal piece comes out last night. This is before I had seen the New York Post piece in which Christie had been urged to run by Nancy Reagan, Dr. Kissinger, and George W. Bush. In this piece, I acknowledge I might be exaggerating. It's not about you. It's not about you. The country comes first. And it was almost as though Crystal was taking Christie's decision personally. It was written in such a way that I thought Bill was personally offended that Christie said, no, I'm not going to run. And I said, well, if I'm right about that, what does this mean? Why would a media figure take it personally that someone decides not to run or do what that media person wants them to do? And I said, well, maybe you want to be known as the kingmaker. You want to be the one that gets the credit for pushing Christie in the right decision to decide. I don't know. I'm just guessing here. Well, why don't you call Crystal? Because I'd rather guess, frankly. It's more fun because we'll find at some point or not. Now, if I'm right, and if Bill Crystal wants everybody to think that Christie changed his mind because of what Crystal wrote, now he's in competition. Because the New York Post says that if Christie goes, it's going to be because of Kissinger, Nancy Reagan, and George W. Bush. Not. What do you mean am I going to put a stop to this? Am I going to put a stop to what? Christie running? Oh, my gosh. Snurdly, you so exaggerate my power here. You've got me up against the Rockefeller wing of the Republican Party? Yeah, you think... it is what it is. It is what it is. Nothing I can do to stop this. No way. Here's the way the Crystal piece ends. You don't have to feel deeply in your heart that you're called to run for president. You have to think that you're the right man for the job. And if that's the case, you have a duty to your country to step forward. It's not about you. It's about your country. And that's the headline to Bill Crystal's piece. It's not about you. Crystal was one of the first people, by the way, to push for Sarah Palin to be a GOP vice presidential candidate. Now, why isn't he saying to Palin, hey, Sarah, it's not up to you. You got to get in. Why why only Christie? Now, there's some other people pointing out the governor of Virginia. Hey, wait a minute. What about old Bob here? And old Bob's been sitting there in relative obscurity, and Bob McDonnell has got a state cooking and kicking, but he's got job creation. He's got a budget surplus. The state of Virginia is rocking. As a governor, he's outperforming all of them. And nobody's saying a word about Bob McDonnell because I guess he himself has not thrown his hat in the ring or expressed any interest. But Christie's done just the opposite. Christie has said, oh, no way. How many times I have to tell you people? That's almost a quote. How many times I have to tell you people I'm not running? It was all this year he's been saying that. And every time he says it, somebody in the establishment says, no, you got to go, you got to run, you got to. Now they got Kissinger, Nancy Reagan, George W. Bush. And Crystal's saying, it's not about you, it's about your country. Why aren't they saying that to Sarah? Hey, Sarah, come on, it's not about you, it's about your country. You don't get to make this decision on your own personal wants, desires, or lack of. And I'll tell you why this is another thing that I said yesterday that has ignited this whole meme that it is I.L. Rushbo versus the Republican establishment. And I said that the reason why the establishment's trying to push all these people is because they're scared to death that a conservative is going to get the nomination. Just like they were scared to death Reagan was going to get the nomination. Even when Reagan ran for governor of California, the first time against Pat Brown, the Democrat, father of Jerry Brown, wanted to run against Reagan. They thought Reagan would be the easiest to beat because he was this madcap Goldwater extremist. The Democrats did everything they could to sandbag all of Reagan's opponents so that Reagan would get the gubernatorial nomination. They couldn't wait to run against him. And Reagan ended up winning that race by 1 million votes in California, which was huge. and did it with a lot of union people and independents, just flabbergasted everybody. And even back then, the Republicans didn't want Reagan. His kitchen cabinet was urging him to go. He didn't want any part of it. They urged him to do it. And even back then, the so-called Republican establishment, the anti-Goldwater wing of the Republican Party, wanted no part of Reagan when he ran for governor of California. They wanted no part of Reagan in 1976 when he ran for the Republican presidential nomination. They wanted no part of him in 1980. And after he won, you know, they sucked up to him because they had to. I mean, he was the president of the United States, and they wanted to be within his orb. But when they talked to themselves at their homes in the Hamptons, when they talk about what a stupid idiot he was and how they hope they survived the 8 years because this guy makes jokes about blowing up the Soviet Union. My God, he's embarrassing. It's all, look at what he spends all his time with the pro-lifers. Oh, my God. They were embarrassed about him and worried he was going to blow the Soviet Union off the map, push the button. It was the Republican establishment, as well as the Democrats, that had all those caricature fears of and they exist to this day. The Republican establishment has no desire for mainstream conservatism running the party or getting the nomination. And that's why they're hot to trot for Christie. But Rush, are you saying that Christie is not a mainstream? I'm not saying he's not conservative by any stretch, but he's acceptable to the Republican establishment. You draw your own conclusions. You guys think for yourselves out there. You know that. I've not done, all I've done is come along here the last 23 years and validate what you think anyway. You're not mind-numbed robots. I'm not some Pied Piper putting thoughts in you. I'm not trying anything. I'm not trying. Let me tell you something, Sturdley. What am I doing here? I got the drive-bys already constructing a war between me and the Republican establishment. Well, okay, it is happening. I'm not doing anything to stop it, but you're telling me I'm not doing enough to advance the cause here. I'm telling you I got my head on the chopping block. You know, Snurdley's just yelling at me. This time I have to pick somebody so that we don't get stuck with McCain again. Anyway, if Christie gets in, what he's going to end up doing is splitting the moderate vote. His greatest damage will be done to Mitt Romney, not Rick Perry. My take is if Christie does get in, he's going to split the Romney vote. That's where he's going to take votes from. And in so doing, if he doesn't get the nomination himself, it'd be pretty hard to do. If he splits the moderate vote, then the top conservative candidate by default would win the primaries, win the nomination if he gets in. I don't know that the establishment looks at it that way, though. I think the establishment's looking at it. If Christie gets in, he effectively wipes out any other conservative in the race, because everybody thinks he's such a full-fledged 100%, 125% conservative, based on his take no prisoners attitude with the unions and traditional Republican opponents, the way he speaks to them and crushes them as governor. Guys, a quick time out here. Well, let me do one more soundbite here. I've kind of cut this off in the middle of it. We had Chuck Todd here. Play Chuck here again. We'll play these things back to back. Again, Chuck Todd, Daily Rundown here, talking about the battle here between me and the Republican establishment.
Welcome to what a presidential primary is like in this conservative vetting test in 2012. And this campaign is like nothing we've ever seen in 2008, 2000, 1996. It's different. It's always been out there. It's always been a powerful force. But as Rush noted, the Republican establishment has always won out. Will they do that this time? And does Christie, as Rush Limbaugh's already put him in, part of the Republican establishment, is that already a mark against Christie?
Okay, so that is F. Chuck Todd establishing a theme for his show this morning. At least one of the themes. Later on in the show, he's got a guest. Comcast Network Political Director Robert Trainum. Comcast now owns NBC. So F. Chuck Todd talking with Comcast Network Political Director Robert Train about New Jersey Governor Chris Christie running for president. And they have this exchange. You will hear F. Chuck interrupting his own guest to talk about me again.
I don't think he's going to get in. He's got a lot of damning quotes out there about him.
Rush Limbaugh already started it, questioning whether he's conservative enough and almost questioning the fact that if the establishment thinks he's conservative, then I don't.
Chuck, the establishment is not questioning whether he's conservative enough. No, it's the fact he's not too conservative. That's what jazzes the establishment. Chuck, you got to understand this. The establishment likes Governor, and I like Governor Christie. I like him. I've had dinner with him. Haven't played golf with him, but I like him. Fine man. I don't want anybody to be misunderstood here. But the Republican establishment interest in Governor Christie is precisely due to the fact that he's not a quote unquote Reagan type conservative or a Limbaugh type conservative. That's why they're attracted to it. And I'm not, look at Chuck Todd and these guys use me. I'm not alone. There are a lot of other people out there taking on the Republican establishment. I'm not a lone wolf in this by any stretch. I'm a little long here. I've got to take a brief time out. We'll do it. Back we will be before you know it.
Members of the media, do not panic. Your show prep will continue with Rush on the EIB network.
I want my Al TV!
And you'll want your Al TV too.
Hi, I'm Al Gore. Remember me? Now I've got my own cable TV channel called Al TV.
Al TV, committed to being young and irreverent.
Cool, huh?
We'll discuss the issues that you care about, like global warming.
This is the sound of a cow threatening the world. They used to love that when I was vice president.
Call your cable operator and demand Al TV.
That's G-O-R-E.
Youthful and irreverent. Kind of like a radio shock jock.
With short hair.
It's Al TV.
I know you'll remember this. I'm the one who stuck his tongue down Tipper's throat at the convention.
Ew. Tell those money-hungry cable operators you want your Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
The 1950s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
Nothing, sir.
Don't give me that. It's one of those C things.
A condom?
Don't take it out right now. I certainly hope you weren't planning to use the thing.
No, sir.
You won't now. I'm taking that C thing and destroying it.
Yes, sir, but just one thing. Don't tell my parents.
The 1990s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Yes, Jimmy. Take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
I don't have a circle.
Just as I thought. Put this in your wallet right now.
This C thing?
It's a condom, Jimmy, and you better make plans right now to use it.
Yes, sir. I won't destroy your faith in me.
Good, Jimmy, but just one thing. Don't tell your parents.
This message has been brought to you by Bungee Condoms, celebrating 40 years of progress. From being hidden in your dad's wallet to being handed out in your schools. Bungee Condoms, where quality is more than just a word. It's a slogan.
Be an army of at least one. By volunteering for duty as a DNC seminar caller, you'll receive advanced basic training from our sensitive, caring professionals.
What's your number, soldier?
1-800-282-2885?
How you gonna make it past the call screener if you don't know the number? Drop and give me 20 on the rotary dial. The rest of you, repeat after me. I love your show, and I always agree with you. And I voted for Bush.
And you'll earn promotions and medals.
Son, we're very proud of you. What's that medal for?
This one's for touch tone. This is for getting past the call screener, and this big one here is for actually talking to the host and flawlessly saying, I love your show, I always agree with you, and I voted for Bush.
Be on radio and say what we want you to say. All scripts provided by the Democratic National Committee. Help us take back our monopoly on public opinion. Volunteers especially needed from noon to 3 Eastern. Most Americans.
Sticking with MSNBC today, the Morning Joe show, Joe Scarborough's show, they were talking about Romney and the rest of the Republican field, and Willie Geist offered this comment.
Isn't there always this hand-wringing in the primary process? John McCain was getting hammered. Rush Limbaugh saying, stay home, don't vote for John McCain.
I didn't tell anybody to stay home. What the heck are these people remembering? Didn't tell anybody to stay home. I didn't even pick anybody. That's what I'm getting grief for now. Now people, you better pick somebody this time or else we're going to end up with McCain Jr. Now we move over to Fox. Gretchen Carlson talking with Brian Kilmeade about how I am so wrong talking about independence and so forth. Kilmeade leads off.
When you listen to Rush Limbaugh, he has many questions about how conservative the governor from New Jersey is. Let's listen.
I heard a lot of John McCain in that speech. Well, maybe not a lot, but I heard enough to send up a red flag or two. Herman Cain is a conservative that worries them. Perry is a conservative that worries them. Bachmann is a conservative that worries. Santorum, a conservative that worries. Reagan was a conservative that worried the Republican establishment. Christie is not. Now, what they left out of that bite is my intonations about partisanship and compromise and all these red flags. I mean, that was the red flag that went up. So here's Gretchen Carlson, former Miss America, from Minnesota.
But isn't it all about who can be elected? See, that's what it comes down to. And fortunately or unfortunately, the independents make all the decisions. Maybe that should change. But it really depends on who the independents are going to go with. And maybe they would go with a Chris Christie because as a Republican governor in a blue state, he had to compromise. And that's what independents seem to like from time to time, is people looking at things from both sides of the equation and sometimes coming to a decision.
Well, the conventional wisdom on display in the Fox and Friends show this morning on Fox News Channel. Now, I would say, in response to that, the Republicans have abandoned, the independents have abandoned Obama. The independents in 2010, the midterms, abandoned Obama and they abandoned the Democrats. And they went where? They went to the Republicans. And if you look at polling data, the independents still plan on voting Republican by a vast majority. And the Republicans are not doing what? The House Republicans are not compromising. The House Republicans are holding firm. They're not compromising at all. And the independents are not fleeing back to the Democrats. They're sticking, at least in the polling questions, to the Republicans. So, again, this false premise that the voters want compromise and the voters want bipartisanship. All this conventional wisdom's being stood on its head. The stakes are different than they've ever been. And Gretchen, look, we're just like you here at the EIB network. All we want is world peace.
Celebrating the American way every day of the year. Rush on the EIB network.
I want my Al TV!
And you'll want your Al TV too.
Hi, I'm Al Gore. Remember me? Now I've got my own cable TV channel called Al TV.
Al TV, committed to being young and irreverent.
Cool, huh?
We'll discuss the issues that you care about, like global warming.
This is the sound of a cow threatening the world. They used to love that when I was vice president.
Call your cable operator and demand Al TV.
That's G-O-R-E.
Youthful and irreverent. Kind of like a radio shock jock.
With short hair.
It's Al TV.
I know you'll remember this. I'm the one who stuck his tongue down Tipper's throat at the convention.
Ew. Tell those money-hungry cable operators you want your Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
The 1950s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
Nothing, sir.
Don't give me that. It's one of those C things.
A condom?
Don't take it out right now. I certainly hope you weren't planning to use the thing.
No, sir.
You won't now. I'm taking that C thing and destroying it.
Yes, sir, but just one thing. Don't tell my parents.
The 1990s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Yes, Jimmy. Take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
I don't have a circle.
Just as I thought. Put this in your wallet right now.
This C thing?
It's a condom, Jimmy, and you better make plans right now to use it.
Yes, sir. I won't destroy your faith in me.
Good, Jimmy, but just one thing. Don't tell your parents.
This message has been brought to you by Bungee Condoms, celebrating 40 years of progress. From being hidden in your dad's wallet to being handed out in your schools. Bungee Condoms, where quality is more than just a word. It's a slogan.
Be an army of at least one by volunteering for duty as a DNC seminar caller. You'll receive advanced basic training from our sensitive, caring professionals.
What's your number, soldier?
1-800-282-2885.
How you gonna make it past the call screen if you don't know the number? Drop and give me 20 on the rotary dial. The rest of you, repeat after me. I love your show, and I always agree with you. And I voted for Bush.
And you'll earn promotions and medals.
Son, we're very proud of you. What's that medal for?
This one's for touch tone. This is for getting past the call screener, and this big one here is for actually talking to the host and flawlessly saying, I love your show, I always agree with you, and I voted for Bush.
Be on radio and say what we want you to say. All scripts provided by the Democratic National Committee. Help us take back our monopoly on public opinion. Volunteers especially needed from noon to 3 Eastern. Most Americans.
I was discussing Reagan's first gubernatorial campaign in California, 1966. Stephen Hayward wrote a book, and there's a chapter, How Ronald Reagan Defied Expectations and Beat the Giant Killer Pat Brown. It's housed at the Claremont Institute, written August 30th, 2001. There's a fascinating revelation here about Reagan's strategy in winning in California. I'll share it in a minute.
Big Deal Productions presents the next chapter in the Lord of the Bling series, Return of the Bling. As joblessness fills the land, Sergeant Wasserman Schultz leads an army of media orcs, while Lord Barry, the Wizard of Smart, uses his amazing supernatural powers of persuasion against the Republican leadership.
If I can't borrow more money, bad things will happen.
Okay. Here.
Whoa, thanks. Michelle and I'll be at the mall if you need us. Bye.
Return of the Bling, with John McCain as John McCain.
Just vote for it, you stupid Tea Party hobbits.
I think we need to read it first. Yeah, it might not be constitutional.
Oh!
Harry Reid as Gollum.
Nasty hobbitses. Leave my precious alone.
Oh, Harry, I didn't know you cared.
Return of the Bling.
And I want 2 of them, and 6 billion of those, and 15
Same Obama, different day. Return of the Bling. Playing out in Congress.
Now, if I buy this, will you throw that in too? Well, oh, wait a minute. I got the money. What am I thinking?
In the past, people who suffered from restless leg syndrome were thought to be unable to lead a healthy, productive life. But here at the Restless Leg Institute, we've helped literally thousands of victims of restless leg syndrome become independent and go on to live happy, successful, productive lives, like Rachel here. Her tap lessons have really changed things, opening doors to many opportunities she would have missed. Or take Matthew here by riding the stationary bicycle equipped with a 200,000 kilowatt generator. Matthew provides a safe, clean alternative energy source to the Institute and 32 surrounding homes. Are you tired yet, son?
No, sir.
Graduates from the Institute include Pele, Elvis Presley, and the entire cast of Riverdance. So if you or someone you know suffers from restless leg syndrome, tell them about the Restless Leg Institute before it's too late.
Do you know how much is too much?
Hit me again.
Do you know when to say when?
Pelosi's coming over. Make it a double.
Studies show that those who overindulge exhibit signs of arrogance.
I don't count my drinks because I'm the president.
Overconfidence.
This is the day we stop the seas from rising. Or was it yesterday?
The inability to think clearly on one's own.
Where's my teleprompter? I gotta talk to those kindergarten kids.
You think you're funny, but no one else does.
Let's give the Dalai Lama a set of cufflinks and send him out the back door.
Mr. President, let's don't do that.
And a profound inability to listen to others.
Raman's funny. You don't know funny.
If a friend, relative, or leader of the free world exhibits any of these warning signs, don't let them drive, operate heavy machinery, or sign any important documents.
Where's that healthcare bill?
And consider moderating their alcohol intake before it's too late. Now, an important message about poverty from the President of the United States.
Recently, you may have been alarmed to hear that poverty in America is on the rise, setting new records. Well, it's not a problem, and it's no accident. My administration has made poverty the new in thing, a cool, hip lifestyle. Many middle-class Americans, just like you, are meeting lots of new people as they panhandle for loose change in the misty morning sun. Or they're checking out the latest car as they squeegee windows at the stoplight. Whatever your dream is, you can live it in poverty.
Get in on America's newest craze, poverty. It's not just for poor people anymore.
Poverty is not for everyone and may not be as much fun as previously described. Poverty is a registered trademark of the Obama administration. Available in all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and Cuba. Obama Redistribution Unlimited, Chicago, Illinois.
Void where prohibited.
Now a message from President Barack Obama about today's ATF.
My fellow Americans, in the past, the ATF just regulated the sale of alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Pretty boring. But under my administration, we've expanded their mandate to boost the nation's economy with cool new programs like Operation Fast and Furious, where we sold over 2,500 illegal firearms on the Mexican border in record time. Operation Blackout. To help sell new cars, we gave away free cases of liquor to anyone buying a government motors car with a DUI conviction and a suspended license. And Operation Puff More. We need a new generation of smokers to pay taxes. So we rewarded Atlanta school children for their good grades with a carton of smokes.
Today's modern Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Who knows what they'll do next?
Holder, put that bottle down and leave that alone.
Now that you know about the costly environmental impact of hybrid vehicles, are you ready for an environmentally friendly car that will always make you feel good about yourself?
Yeah!
Then check out the all-new Virtual 6000, the world's first carbon-neutral car. From the interior to the exterior, you'll agree it's a one-of-a-kind car that stands out from all the rest. And since the Virtual 6000 is made from sturdy, recycled cardboard, the options are unlimited. Need a sunroof? Just cut one out.
Well, what about safety?
Don't worry. The Virtual 6000 just sits in the living room, so you can pretend to go anywhere, anytime, and feel safe from the threat of SUVs. The Virtual 6000 uses no gas, no batteries. It's totally carbon neutral, and at only $20,500, it costs less than any hybrid around. The Virtual 6000 from Pretend Motors. Economical and environmentally safe.
Get out of my way!
Great to have you back. Rush Limbaugh, the Excellence in Broadcasting Network, and the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies. Our telephone number is 800-282-2882. The email address, lrushbaugh@eibnet.com. Okay, this is fascinating. I spoke earlier in the previous busy broadcast hour about Reagan's campaign for governor of California in 1966. It is instructive because this battle here between American conservatives and the Republican establishment, and believe me, they're two different things. Now, George Will says there is no Republican establishment, and there hasn't been since, 1966. But there is. The Republican establishment, for all intents and purposes, for the sake of our discussion here, is made up of what you would call rhinos. The Republican establishment is Northeastern Republican conservatives. The group that they're right on the fiscal side of things most of the time, but they don't want any part of social issues. They can't stand it being part of the party platform. They don't want to talk about it. They have no desire to be any part of that discussion. They think it's going to lose elections, all that kind of stuff. Plus, they do tend to believe in Washington as the center of the universe. Republicans win elections, they're in charge of the money. They like that. They tend to believe that an energetic, powerful executive wielding financial power, spending money for the national good with conservative instincts is a good thing. So if government grows under that rubric, then it's fine. We, of course, as conservatives, don't see things that way, and there is the divide. And the Republican establishment, made up of a lot of powerful people with a lot of money, and they want to win, just like we do. And they employ whatever muscle they have to see to it that they do. And they want their candidates to be representative of what they want, all of which is understandable. So there is this battle going on. What's changed, or the added intensity this time around, is another point of disagreement. That is, the Republican establishment doesn't really think the country's threatened. They don't like Obama. I think Obama's, a disaster. But the country's not in any danger here of real long-term damage. I mean, this is just overblown. All this talk about saving the country, and it's not that bad. All we got to do is get our people in there and put us back on a responsible fiscal track, and everything will be fine. They don't see the Democrat Party the same way we do. They don't see the Democrat Party as basically socialist liberal. And they cringe at such talk. And these people never really were enamored with Ronald Reagan. They never really liked him. He was always, they just lived on edge every day. What's this guy going to do that's going to embarrass us? What mistake is he going to make? What stupid thing is he going to say? They actually had this view. Tip O'Neill was not the only one who thought Reagan was an amiable dunce. There were many in the Republican establishment who thought that before Reagan ever ran for office and after he won the presidency. And they thought that back in 1966. After all, he was just an actor, and introduced GE Theater. So from the August 2001 archives of the Claremont Institute is an extended excerpt from a Stephen Hayward book, Greatness, Reagan, Churchill, and the Making of Extraordinary Leaders. Now, this thing is too long and too dense for radio, but it does have a pertinent link in it because it's a detailed description of how Reagan had to overcome the Republican elites who doubted him. The GOP elites of the time in 1966 thought of Reagan as an extremist, as they think all conservatives are. Now, at the time, California was 3-1 Democrat to Republican. terms of registered voters. Reagan won by appealing to crossover voters and independents, despite his extremism. But who are independents? Who are these people? Now, during Reagan's presidency, we constantly heard talk about Reagan Democrats. These are basically Southern, hardworking, blue-collar people who wanted no part of the Jimmy Carter Democrat Party. And they loved what Reagan was saying. Reagan made them and everybody proud, once again, of their country. If you weren't old enough or paying attention back in the mid-'70s through 1980, this country was in as every bit a disaster as today, although we weren't on the precipice then as we are now. But the economy was just as bad. We were led by somebody who had no clue what he was doing. It was a disaster. Jimmy Carter even created a term to describe his own presidency, malaise. Jimmy Carter was a forerunner of Mayor Doomberg, telling us what our thermostat settings had to be, and almost telling us what we had to eat. Wearing cardigan sweaters in the White House to set an example for freezing. Because of the energy crisis. Gasoline prices are rising and going out through the roof. That's why I said that Obama would be Jimmy Carter's second term. So Reagan comes along and runs for office in those circumstances, much like the Republican nominee is going to be running for office this time. And back in the 80s, during his presidency, we had the Reagan Democrats. These were Democrats that defected from the Democrat Party. Now, I contend that the term independent has been created by the Democrat Party and the media, so they don't have to use Democrats in the description of people voting for Republicans. They don't like the notion that there are defections from their party. So we have in our political parlance today this term independence. And the general theory is that in every presidential election, 40% of the votes automatically going to go to the Democrat, 40% automatically going to go to the Republican. So in the primaries, the candidates focus on the base to get the nomination, but then when they seek the big prize of the White House, they've actually got to convince those independents, that 20%, the great undecided. And the political consultants have come along and told every candidate, I'm the guy who can get those voters for you. I know who those independents are, and I know how to get them to vote for us. And so they write speeches for the candidates, and they put thoughts in their minds, and basically that's where this whole notion, don't criticize Obama, don't be extreme, don't be partisan. The independents don't like that. They want everybody to get along. They want bipartisanship. They want compromise. If you don't make it sound like you're capable of that, you're going to send them running right back to the Democrats. So this whole faux, fake, phony interpretation of who actually elects the president has been around for decades. I contend to you that moderates are simply liberals who don't want to admit it. Independents are, at least in the past, have been disaffected Democrats who vote for Republican. But the mainstream media didn't like the term Reagan Democrat. There's no such thing. No Democrat would vote for Reagan. He's a stupid, idiot, amiable dunce. So the term independent was created to give these people superpower status in terms of their brain power. And so every election's fought over these 20%. So this takes us back to 1966. Reagan running for governor, 3-1 voter majority, Democrat over Republican in terms of voter registration. And Reagan won against a beloved incumbent, Pat the Giant Killer Brown. And Stephen Hayward says he did it by appealing to the crossover voters, the independents. But yet how was he able to do that? Because the Republican establishment of the day thought that Reagan was an extremist. How in the world does an extremist appeal to moderates? How does an extremist get votes from independents? And there's a very telling passage in Hayward's book. And it is this, and it is applicable to today. Reagan understood that with a Democrat voting edge of 3-1 in California, a Republican could only win by appealing to crossover voters. This required a united Republican Party more than a centrist campaign. Again, Reagan's campaign knew that to win crossover voters required a united Republican Party, not a centrist campaign. That is the polar opposite of the way the GOP elite think today. It's the polar opposite of the way the Republican establishment thinks today. The Republican establishment thinks today that you win independents and moderates by talking compromise and by talking bipartisanship. Basically, you water yourself down. You get rid of your ideological impulses and you hide them. And instead, you talk a bunch of mush, mealy-mouthed mush. But what was foremost important was a united Republican Party. When you're facing a voter registration disadvantage of 3-1, you need every Republican vote there is, and you also need the Republican Party totally behind you. Now, we're not faced with that kind of voter registration disadvantage. The Democrats don't outnumber us 3-1 nationwide. And in fact, in polls of people asking what their ideological orientation is, there are twice as many people who identify themselves as conservatives in this country as there are people who identify themselves as liberals. And I've always thought that ideology is as important a factor in campaigns as party is. Now, the Republican establishment totally disagrees with that. The Republican establishment thinks you go getting all ideological on people and that's the end of your campaign. You're just going to drive these independents away. They don't like ideology. And that's dead wrong. I mean, ideology used to be anyway the way parties were defined. And should be again. Anyway, Pat Brown was so sure that he could beat Reagan, he worked behind the scenes to help him win the GOP nomination. They thought Reagan would be a pushover. And a large number of the Democrat voters who crossed over for Reagan included as much as 30% of labor union members. Reagan did especially well in several working class communities with heavy Democrat registration. And the Republicans also did well down the ticket. They got 5 state Senate seats, 5 state Assembly seats, 3 seats in Congress, despite being outnumbered voter registration-wise. There's a lot of lessons to learn here, and Reagan teaches so many of them. And even to this day, the Republican establishment, well, who was it that came up with the whole theory that the era of Reagan is over? If it weren't for the Republican establishment, that's who came up with that notion. And you remember all of the people who signed on to it. Newt signed on to it for a while, then he recanted. A lot of the inside the Beltway conservative intelligentsia signed on to it. The era of Reagan is over. Because it always embarrassed them. And it always frustrated them because the era of Reagan was conservatism. Anyway, I got to take a time out here, folks. We'll do that, come back, and we'll start in with your phone calls right after this.
America's most listened to talk radio host.
Rush Limbaugh.
On the EIB network.
I want my Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
And you'll want your Al TV too.
Hi, I'm Al Gore. Remember me? Now I've got my own cable TV channel called Al TV.
Al TV, committed to being young and irreverent.
Cool, huh?
We'll discuss the issues that you care about, like global warming.
This is the sound of a cow threatening the world. They used to love that when I was vice president.
Call your cable operator and demand Al TV.
That's GORE E.
Youthful and irreverent, kind of like a radio shock jock.
With short hair.
It's Al TV.
I know you'll remember this. I'm the one who stuck his tongue down Tipper's throat at the convention.
Ew.
Tell those money-hungry cable operators you want your Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
The 1950s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
Nothing, sir.
Don't give me that. It's one of those C things.
A condom?
Don't take it out right now. I certainly hope you weren't planning to use the thing.
No, sir.
You won't now. I'm taking that C thing and destroying it.
Yes, sir, but just one thing. Don't tell my parents.
The 1990s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Yes, Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
I don't have a circle.
Just as I thought. Put this in your wallet right now.
This C thing?
It's a condom, Jimmy, and you better make plans right now to use it.
Yes, sir. I won't destroy your faith in me.
Good, Jimmy, but just one thing. Don't tell your parents.
This message has been brought to you by Bungee Condoms, celebrating 40 years of progress. From being hidden in your dad's wallet to being handed out in your schools. Bungee Condoms, where quality is more than just a word. It's a slogan.
Be an army of at least one by volunteering for duty as a DNC seminar caller. You'll receive advanced basic training from our sensitive, caring professionals.
What's your number, soldier?
1-800-282-2885.
How you gonna make it past the call screener if you don't know the number? Drop and give me 20 on the rotary dial. The rest of you, repeat after me. I love your show, and I always agree with you. And I voted for Bush.
And you'll earn promotions and medals.
Son, we're very proud of you. What's that medal for?
This one's for touch tone. This is for getting past the call screener, and this big one here is for actually talking to the host and flawlessly saying, I love your show, I always agree with you, and I voted for Bush.
Be on radio and say what we want you to say. All scripts provided by the Democratic National Committee. Help us take back our monopoly on public opinion. Volunteers especially needed from noon to 3 Eastern. Most Americans.
Okay, those of you on hold, you stay there. I got a couple other points I want to make here before we go to the phones, but we are going to go to the phones just a second. In this book that I have been reading from, the Stephen Hayward book, that's archived at the Claremont Institute. It's from 2001. Here we are in the Late Show again. This is how Ronald Reagan defied expectations and beat Pat Brown is the chapter of the book. The same book quotes Reagan as saying this. Listen carefully to this. We don't intend to turn the Republican Party over to the traitors in the battle just ended. That was talking about the Goldwater campaign of 2 years past. This is 66. Goldwater campaign is 64. Reagan said, we don't intend to turn the Republican Party over to the traitors in the battle just ended. We will have no more of those candidates who are pledged to the same goals of our opposition and who seek our support for it. Turning the party over to so-called moderates wouldn't make any sense at all. And the traitors he was referring to were the rhinos of his day who had undermined the Goldwater conservatives during the 1964 campaign. And Reagan was saying, over my dead body is the Republican Party going to be turned over to those people. We are only going to go places if we conservatives run this party, if we take it over, and if we are unified. What? This is 1966. Well, it's close to ideological purity. What he was just... He didn't like moderates. He knew that moderates were, in fact, Reagan knew that he could unite more people with a strong platform rather than a moderate one. You go back just last week, the New York Times admitted in an article about how Obama needs to become more partisan last week. Remember, we told you about it. There's an effort going on in the Democrat Party. They think Obama is getting too moderate for him. They don't think he's going to win. That's why he's reacting by going back to this class warfare stuff. He's trying to keep everybody happy by joyously being who he is, this class warfare warrior, setting groups of people against each other. He's gone full tilt liberal on everything, full tilt socialist, because the New York Times and the Congressional Black Caucasians are both telling him, buddy, you better be who you are because that's who we are, and you're not going to win not being who you are. Well, Reagan was saying the same thing to the Republicans back in 1966. Now, let me ask you this. Let's pretend it's 1976. Let's pretend it's 1976 and Gerald Ford is president and Reagan decides to take on Gerald Ford in the Republican primary. Who do you think that the Republican establishment would back? Gerald Ford. They did. It was Gerald Ford. They backed Gerald Ford, and they would do it again. And what do you think they would have been saying to us? They would be saying Reagan can't win. And they did say that. They'd be blaming Reagan for harming Ford's re-election possibilities by even running against him for the nomination, which they said. They'd be saying Reagan is unelectable in the general election, which they said. And that's what they're saying today. Why do you think these same people are writing pieces at late at night, desperately begging Chris Christie to get in, desperately begging others to get in? It's because they want to shut down anybody on the conservative side that might get this nomination. It's clear as a bell that that's what's going on. Now, I think that these people who are demanding new candidates in this race are undermining the cause. There are plenty enough candidates running. We got all kinds of different backgrounds, and there are uniquely different positions from candidate to candidate to candidate. You keep feeding the liberal media with this nonsense that our field is weak or that the field can't win. The voters are not saying that, by the way. Voters are not saying that. Scott Rasmussen, the pollster, I'm not running into voters who are turned off by the weak field. I mean, you get some, but it's not a majority. It's, again, the Republican establishment is worried that these people can't. They don't think conservatives are ever going to win anything, and they don't want them to. So they write these late-night pieces begging Christie to get in, save the party, whatever. It really undermines. Christie wants to get in. Get in. Come on in. Anybody else? Sarah Palin, get in if you want to get in. But contributing to the liberal mantra that our candidates are weak and bad and can't beat Obama is not only wrong, it's self-defeating. The same people talking about a big tent seek to shove most of the people in the tent back outside in the rain.
There's just one place to go for all your spatula needs. Spatula City! Spatula City! A giant warehouse of spatulas for every occasion. Thousands to choose from in every shape, size, and color. And because we eliminate the middleman, we can sell all our spatulas factory direct to you. Where do you go when you want to buy name brand spatulas at a fraction of retail cost? Spatula City! Spatula City! And this weekend only, take advantage of our special liquidation sale. Buy 9 spatulas, get the 10th one for just 1 penny. Don't forget, they make great Christmas presents.
And what better way to say I love you than with the gift of a spatula?
Spatula City! Spatula City!
Hello, this is Cy Greenbloom, president of Spatula City.
Spatula City, 7 locations. We're in the yellow pages under Spatulas. Spatula City! Spatula City! A giant warehouse of spatulas for every occasion. Thousands to choose from in every shape, size, and color. And because we eliminate the middleman, we can sell all our spatulas factory direct to you.
I like their spatulas so much, I bought the company.
Where do you go when you want to buy name brand spatulas at a fraction of retail cost? Spatula City! Spatula City! And this weekend only, take advantage of our special liquidation sale. Buy 9 spatulas, get the 10th one for just 1 penny.
Spatula City, we sell spatulas, and that's all.
Don't forget, they make great Christmas presents.
And what better way to say I love you than with the gift of a spatula?
Spatula City! Spatula City!
Hello, this is Cy Greenbloom, president of Spatula City. I like their spatulas so much, I bought the company.
Spatula City, 7 locations. We're in the yellow pages under spatulas.
Spatula City, we sell spatulas, and that's all.
Welcome to How Gullible Are You? Now, with today's questions, here's your genial host, Rush Limbaugh.
Did you believe Bill Clinton when he said, I did not have sex with that woman, not a single time, ever. I never asked anybody to lie. Did you believe Bill Clinton? Did you believe Bob Torricelli when he denied all the things he had to leave the Senate for? Did you believe David Axelrod when he said Obama and Blagojevich discussed his Senate replacement? Did you believe Obama's Axelrod when he said he misspoke about Obama and Blagojevich having that discussion? Did you believe Jesse Jackson Jr. when he said he met with Blagojevich for 90 minutes and pay to play never came up? When Obama said things will get better, did he mean it? Or did he misspeak?
Now, let's see how you scored with How Gullible Are You?
If you answered yes to all 5, you are a liberal for life, or you are a drive-by journalist. If you answered yes to 2 or 3 of these questions, you are a moderate. And there remains hope for you if you remain a regular attendee at classes here at the Limbaugh Institute. If you answered no to all 5, you are grounded in reality and are thus cursed, because you will be forever hounded, frustrated, and driven to near insanity by the gullible who did pass this test.
Join us next time for How Gullible Are You? This has been an EIB production.
Okay, now we go to the phones. Number again, 800-282-2882. Email address lrushbo at eibnet.com. It's Emmy in Loveland, Colorado. Great to have you on the EIB network. Hello.
Hi, Rush. It's great to talk to you.
Thank you very much.
Hey, I'm no fan of the establishment. They irritate me most of the time, but what if they want Christie to run for the same reason I want him to run, because he's the best at articulating conservatism. I mean, besides you and maybe Marco Rubio, but I mean, there's no one else out there that...
Well, no, that's an interesting question. Let me ask you, why do you think they're not begging Rubio to run? Rubio has been just as adamant as Christie that he doesn't want to run. Why are they... Rubio is, in a contest of, doctrinaire conservatism, Rubio wins versus Christie. So why are they not asking Rubio to run?
I don't know. Maybe it's...
Well, part of it is...
You've said.
Part of it...
He would be my second choice.
Part of it is, I think, that they genuinely believe that whoever the other nominees are can't win. And that's another thing that frosts me. I think Bugs Bunny, Elmer Fudd, could beat Obama in this election coming up. Because I think this is going to largely be about Obama. It's going to be a referendum on his outright destruction of the wealth-creating genius of this country. I think Elmer Fudd could win, but I'm more concerned than that. I don't want to just get rid of Obama. I want to take advantage of the opportunity we have to finally get a genuine, full-fledged, unapologetic conservative, because this is going to be a major task. Emmy, rolling this stuff back. It's going to take more than one election, and it's going to take somebody fearless. And we're not going to roll this stuff back with having compromise and bipartisanship as our primary objectives. So I think as far as the establishment's concerned, there are two things. They don't want a conservative to win for that reason. Plus, they do want to win, and I think they probably think Christie has a better chance than anybody else up there of beating Obama. That's my guess. But I think what'll happen is this. Whoever gets a nomination, if it is somebody outside the approval of the establishment, what then will happen is that all these establishment types will then start trying to buddy up to the winner, want to be part of his administration, and then spend the rest of their lives saying they were there at the right hand of this great, terrific president who, that's what happened to Reagan. Half the people that opposed Reagan did end up, especially in the second term, doing things in his administration, and they made their rest of their life career on it. To this day, some of these people still guessed on television shows as Ronald Reagan's X, or Ronald Reagan's Y, even during the era of Reagan is over period, which Mitch Daniels also uttered, I should say. Even when they were saying the era of Reagan was over, still some of these marginal characters in the Reagan administration's second term still out there, claiming they were there. They were in the inner circle. They were making all of these decisions. Why aren't, I know it's a serious question, Snerdley, why aren't people telling Rubio it's not up to him? You got Chris Christie saying, that's got to be in me, and it isn't in me. Well, it's not up to you. Why aren't they saying that to Rubio? Because Rubio would win in a walkover. Rubio would win in a landslide over Obama. I hope that. I'm hearing Bob McDonnell, Virginia, is the preferred Veep candidate. I wouldn't waste that on Rubio. I also don't think, Emmy, and by the way, thanks for the call. Folks, I don't think that it's not true that other conservatives are not well articulating our beliefs. What's happening is that they're all competing with each other for time during these debates. That's a crowded stage up there. And they are having to actually face each other and contrast and compare themselves to each other. Christie doesn't have to do this. And this could be a well-planned strategery. Look at it this way. You've got the people who've announced, and they're on the stage of these debates, and they get 30 seconds here, a minute there, and but some of them get an unfair amount of time. Some of them don't get very many questions asked of them. Some of the questions that are asked are gotcha type stuff. They don't have clearly an unfettered opportunity to explain themselves on such a crowded stage. They're actually having to face each other, contrast and compare themselves to each other. But Governor Christie isn't having to do any of that. He can go give a speech at the Reagan Library or release a YouTube video, and there's no challenge on the issues, and there's nobody out there disagreeing or contrasting or harping on it. He can say what he says about global warming or gun control, immigration, what have you, and he's not getting dirty in the process. Nobody's opposing him. Nobody is disagreeing with what he's saying. He has a free ride, so to speak. Perry, same thing. Perry had a free ride before he jumped in. Look what happened to Perry when he got in. He announces, he gets in, automatically jumps to the top of the list, becomes the target of everybody on stage. He's not an accomplished debater and wasn't prepped for it. Look what's happened to Perry. Christie is not running that risk. Could be a good strategy. If Perry's out there, Christie's out there making these speeches and YouTube videos, and they stand all alone. No disagreement, no challenging to any of it. But Perry jumped in. Very little was said about the specifics of his record. I'm not attacking his record. I'm just saying it was not as carefully scrutinized. Christie would go through that, too, if he got in. So there is as far as Christie's concerned, there's an understandably good strategy in not getting in. Now, at some point, he's going to have to. But he gets a free ride all the way down the road where he's not in. Once he gets in, everything changes. You got everybody on that stage will be gunning for him. And things about his record that some of you may not know will surface. And then you'll be scratching your heads going, gee, what, can't we all get along? Why are we tearing each other up? Nature of the beast. But Rubio would win in a walkover. He's conservative, he's articulate, he's great looking, he's Hispanic, and sounds very smart. How can he possibly lose? If this were the Democrat Party, the party father would probably tell Obama to step aside and let Rubio run if Rubio were a Democrat. There are more Hispanic voters now than there are blacks. And Rubio's got more experience than Obama had when he decided to run. I don't know how many times Rubio's voted president versus Obama. Here's Richard El Segundo, California. Great to have you on the EIB network. Hello.
Hi, Rush. Great speaking with you this morning. A long-time listener, first-time caller.
Great to have you here, sir.
That's not my fault. Your theme this morning has been Republican enthusiasm. Of course, that equates to the voter turnout. I understand that one of the major factors in us losing in 2008 was that Republicans were, quote, mad at Bush, and many stayed home. To me, that's ridiculous and childish. We can't afford another 4 years of anything close to this socialist agenda.
Well, that happened in 2006, by the way, too.
I'm sure it's happened.
Republicans stayed home because they were mad at Republicans in Congress spending all the money.
Well, yeah, I don't recall an election in my lifetime where it wasn't a choice of the lesser of the evils. We've got to make some intelligent choices here, and it's absolutely essential that we must turn out in droves in order to overcome this obstacle.
I frankly, it's still 14 months out, but I don't think that's a problem here.
Well, I hope you're correct. We've got to all do whatever we can to gin up the enthusiasm level and get these people to the polls. They've got to understand what's at stake.
I think they do. I think you'd be surprised. I think you're going to be stunned. The voter enthusiasm, this Gallup poll that's out today, 27 percentage point lead in voter enthusiasm, Republican over Democrat. Oh. Well, no, I'm not. Frankly, I'm not hearing people say if it's X, they're not going to vote. And if I start hearing that, I'll talk to them about it. I'll fix it. And I'm not going to put up with that this time. I'm not going to put up with that. If it's X, I'm not going to vote. Who? No, shoot them at me. If you've got some people who say if Romney's a nominee, they're not voting, shoot them at me. Now that you say that, yeah, I haven't actually heard that specifically. It doesn't surprise me. Some people think that. I do know that there's a lot of passion for the proposition that Romney can't win. That if he does, it's not enough to actually start rolling back what's going on. Anyway, look, the reason why they're not pushing Rubio, I'm going to answer my own question. That's what I do. I ask myself the best questions I'm ever asked, and therefore I give the best answers. They're not pushing Rubio because while they praise him, they don't think he has had enough experience yet. And Rubio is, sorry to say this, folks, but Rubio is another example of the rhinos being wrong. In case you have forgotten, Rubio was not initially supported by the Republican establishment. Charlie Crist was. I have not forgotten this. He was supported by the Republican Senatorial Committee, the Republican millionaires and billionaires. He was supported by McCain and Graham and on and on. Rubio was the Tea Party candidate. Rubio was the conservative candidate, the candidate supported by Conservative Talk Radio. Rubio was the outsider. But look what's happened. Now that Rubio's won, oh, yeah, everybody was in on the campaign. Everybody had a role in electing Rubio. But you people have forgotten. Charlie Crist was the guy. And then Rubio kept coming on and on and on, and a conservative energy behind him, and his conservatism triumphed. And Christ started talking to Democrats about a role in the party. The Rhinos had nothing to do with Rubio triumphing. The Rhinos, they weren't even in his camp to start with. And another reason why they're not pushing Rubio is he's too conservative for them. And with Obama on any ballot, this whole notion of lesser of two evils, I don't think exists. Nobody's in that camp on our side. There is no almost an Obama on our side. Even Romney. I think this lesser of two evils business gets thrown out too. There's a whole lot of conventional wisdom here that's going to be stood on its head before this is all over. Don't doubt me.
They used to get away with it, but not anymore. Thanks to Rush and the EIB network.
I want my Al TV!
And you'll want your Al TV too.
Hi, I'm Al Gore. Remember me? Now I've got my own cable TV channel called Al TV.
Al TV, committed to being young and irreverent.
Cool, huh?
We'll discuss the issues that you care about, like global warming.
This is the sound of a cow threatening the world. They used to love that when I was vice president.
Call your cable operator and demand Al TV.
That's G-O-R-E.
Youthful and irreverent. Kind of like a radio shock jock.
With short hair.
It's Al TV.
I know you'll remember this. I'm the one who stuck his tongue down Tipper's throat at the convention.
Ew. Tell those money-hungry cable operators you want your Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
The 1950s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
Nothing, sir.
Don't give me that. It's one of those C things.
A condom?
Don't take it out right now. I certainly hope you weren't planning to use the thing.
No, sir.
You won't now. I'm taking that C thing and destroying it.
Yes, sir, but just one thing. Don't tell my parents.
The 1990s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Yes, Jimmy. Take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
I don't have a circle.
Just as I thought. Put this in your wallet right now.
This C thing?
It's a condom, Jimmy, and you better make plans right now to use it.
Yes, sir. I won't destroy your faith in me.
Good, Jimmy, but just one thing. Don't tell your parents.
This message has been brought to you by Bungee Condoms, celebrating 40 years of progress. From being hidden in your dad's wallet to being handed out in your schools. Bungee Condoms, where quality is more than just a word. It's a slogan.
Be an army of at least one. By volunteering for duty as a DNC seminar caller, you'll receive advanced basic training from our sensitive, caring professionals.
What's your number, soldier?
1-800-282-2885.
How you gonna make it past the call screener if you don't know the number? Drop and give me 20 on the rotary dial. The rest of you, repeat after me. I love your show, and I always agree with you. And I voted for Bush.
And you'll earn promotions and medals.
Son, we're very proud of you. What's that medal for? This one's for touch tone. This is for getting past the call screener, and this big one here is for actually talking to the host and flawlessly saying, I love your show, I always agree with you, and I voted for Bush.
Be on radio and say what we want you to say. All scripts provided by the Democratic National Committee. Help us take back our monopoly on public opinion. Volunteers especially needed from noon to 3 Eastern. Most
You know, the Rubio Christ election is almost a great microcosm of what we are talking about, the Republican establishment versus an insurgent conservative Tea Party. If you go back and try to remember that, Rubio came from nowhere. He was seen as unelectable, way too extreme, too much of a risk. Charlie Crist, he's the elected governor. He's the sure bet. Charlie Crist will give us a majority in the Senate. Charlie Crist is the way we need to go. Who cares that Christ may as well have been a Democrat? We need another R. Somebody got an R beside their name. We don't care what we just need the numbers here because we want to be in charge of the money. We want the committee chairmanships. You remember who the first prominent politician to support Rubio was? It was Jim DeMint. South Carolina Senator Jim DeMint was the first prominent politician to come out and support Rubio. Rubio, the outsider fighting his way in. Now, after he wins, the rhinos, the establishment come to his side after Charlie Crist imploded, and they talk him up for vice president now. But don't forget, there wouldn't be any Marco Rubio in the Senate today, but for the conservative movement and the Tea Party movement and a conservative effort to beat back the establishment. Rubio, I'm not saying he had no role. Don't misunderstand. He was, of course, key, but he had the Republican establishment against him. It's almost, as I say, a microcosm of what we are talking about and facing today as we choose a nominee. Who's next? John in Winchester, Virginia. Welcome, sir, to the EIB Network. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Rush, old friend. And with some apprehension, I think the professor may have made a mistake about ABC. I think that they might be trying actually to destroy Obama to get him not to run so Hillary can run because she'd have a much better chance of winning.
Well, there are people who have that opinion. That there is a concerted effort to get Hillary back in there.
May I offer you a new ditto expression?
Sure.
This came to me many years ago, and I've been trying to get in touch with you when the Clintons were in, actually. And, this mega ditto, giga ditto stuff is far too objective. We need something more subjective, all-inclusive, a little more estrogenic. I think pan dittos would be a better expression.
Pan dittos. As in Pan-Americana,
Exactly, all-inclusive.
Yeah, dittos from everywhere and everybody.
Everywhere, right. Universal ditto.
It's there's something else that we have to consider here with ABC. So far, we have two theories. Your theory is that ABC is going hot and heavy on this Solyndra solar business because they really want Obama on, they want Hillary in.
Right.
I have proffered the idea that ABC and the Congressional Black Caucasians are simply putting pressure on Obama to make sure he doesn't moderate, go to the center. You make sure you stay that socialist that we are, and we know you are. There's a third option out there, John, and everybody else. And it could just be a coincidence. ABC might have just committed a random act of journalism. It happens now and then.
Doing the work that the mainstream American media just won't do. Rush on the EIB Network.
I want my Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
And you'll want your Al TV too.
Hi, I'm Al Gore. Remember me? Now I've got my own cable TV channel called Al TV.
Al TV, committed to being young and irreverent.
Cool, huh?
We'll discuss the issues that you care about, like global warming.
This is the sound of a cow threatening the world. They used to love that when I was vice president.
Call your cable operator and demand Al TV.
That's G-O-R-E.
Youthful and irreverent, kind of like a radio shock jock.
With short hair.
It's Al TV.
I know you'll remember this. I'm the one who stuck his tongue down Tipper's throat at the convention.
Ew.
Tell those money-hungry cable operators you want your Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
The 1950s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
Nothing, sir.
Don't give me that. It's one of those C things.
A condom?
Don't take it out right now. I certainly hope you weren't planning to use the thing.
No, sir.
You won't now. I'm taking that C thing and destroying it.
Yes, sir, but just one thing. Don't tell my parents.
The 1990s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Yes, Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
I don't have a circle.
Just as I thought. Put this in your wallet right now.
This C thing?
It's a condom, Jimmy, and you better make plans right now to use it.
Yes, sir. I won't destroy your faith in me.
Good, Jimmy, but just one thing. Don't tell your parents.
This message has been brought to you by Bungee Condoms, celebrating 40 years of progress. From being hidden in your dad's wallet to being handed out in your schools. Bungee Condoms, where quality is more than just a word. It's a slogan.
Be an army of at least one. By volunteering for duty as a DNC seminar caller, you'll receive advanced basic training from our sensitive, caring professionals.
What's your number, soldier?
1-800-282-2885.
How you gonna make it past the call screen if you don't know the number? Drop and give me 20 on the rotary dial. The rest of you, repeat after me. I love your show, and I always agree with you. And I voted for Bush.
And you'll earn promotions and medals.
Son, we're very proud of you. What's that medal for? This one's for touch tone. This is for getting past the call screener, and this big one here is for actually talking to the host and flawlessly saying, I love your show, I always agree with you, and I voted for Bush.
Be on radio and say what we want you to say. All scripts provided by the Democratic National Committee. Help us take back our monopoly on public opinion. Volunteers especially needed from noon to 3 Eastern. Most Americans.
Okay, that's it. Another exciting hour of broadcast excellence in the can. It is. It could just well have been a random act of journalism. It happens. They do it every now and then. It could be they're looking around, they're looking at all these right-wing blogs, dig up all this information, and maybe, this is really, it's out there. It looks pretty bad. We can't be accused of covering this stuff. Who knows? It could be the number of explanations with the random act of journalism. I put that top of my list as the possibility. Why ABC is going all out.
Attention EIP affiliates. Stand by for the Rush Limbaugh promo feed. Copyright 2011. EIP Net. Start all recording devices in 3, 2, 1. Now.
Rush Limbaugh.
The New York Times, a number of other state-controlled media outlets worried that Obama is taking their ideology with him down the tubes.
Rush Limbaugh.
And if they have to jettison Obama in order to save the ideology, then they'll do that. So let's a little timeline. Rush Limbaugh, January 2009. I hope he fails. Democrats, Gallup poll, 2011. We know he failed. Rush was right again. Damn. The New York Times, a number of other state-controlled media outlets worried that Obama is taking their ideology with him down the tubes. And if they have to jettison Obama in order to save the ideology, then they'll do that. So let's a little timeline. Rush Limbaugh, January 2009. I hope he fails. Democrats, Gallup poll, 2011. We know he failed. Rush was right again. Damn. You want to know why Herman Cain won the straw poll in Florida? Because you can't find one example of Herman Cain at any point in this campaign not being a conservative.
The Rush Limbaugh Week in Review.
I know where this country is. I know what the people of this country want. And they don't want John McCain Jr. They don't want another moderate. They want a conservative. The candidates who are proudly, unashamedly, cheerfully, unabashedly conservative are going to win.
What do you mean, drive-by media?
They are exactly like drive-by shooters. They pull up to a congested area, they spray a hail of bullets into the crowd. It causes mass hysteria, confusion, mistakes, and misinterpretation. Sometimes people in their careers actually die, and then the drive-by media smirks and they ride away, unnoticed in the excitement. They're never blamed. They're never held accountable. And this is repeated over and over and over. There seems to be no stopping them in their marauding ways. And that's what I mean by drive-by media.
This concludes the promo feed. Production directors everywhere. Be with us next time as we make your life easier on the EIB network. And now, behind the scenes at what's left of Al Gore's family home.
So, how's my favorite big lummox? Or should I say, crazed sex poodle? Bill, I'm not a poodle. I'm more of a Weimaraner. Besides, I did not have sex with that woman. Yeah, she ran away. That's not fair. She just wasn't my type. What, slow and stupid? Did you even try listening to her about her life? No. What about inspiring her with your environmental stuff? Not really. Did you ask her to play pizza delivery girl? You know, some chicks love role-playing. No, I just yelled at her and told her what to do. Sounds just like Hillary. Okay. So bottom line, what should I do? You need to find a really good dry cleaner who can crack a safe. Well, thanks for the encouragement. Anytime. Hello? Anytime Cleaners? I have an inside job for you.
Join us next time when the EIB microphones take you behind the scenes.
Pablo, I got some great news. You're no longer an illegal. No? No! You're our guest worker, yes. Put our country to the test. Tie a noose around our neck, ole, and we'll do all the rest. My mi casa, it is yours. Don't forget to mop the floors. Guacamole is delicious. I can't stand your other dishes. Time to sing, time to dance. Someday we'll be like France. You're a voting bloc, that's why I love you best. And we don't dare offend you. You snuck in and so you'll be our guest worker, yes. You're our guest. You're our guest worker, yes. Crossed immigration off your list. When the pilgrims came to shore, did they cross the border? Yes. So you've broken all the laws. Well, we all have our flaws. You can make me a big winner. I'm at Falwell Civic Center. I tell jokes, I'll do tricks. Anything to con the hicks. I ignore the right cause they're all nativist. Come on and lift a glass. You've won your own free pass. You're our guest worker, yes. You're our guest worker. You're our guest.
Now, an official announcement by our dear leader, Barack Hussein Obama.
Every day, people all across America are spreading vicious stories and taking my name in vain. To get reelected, we must fight against the truth that blocks our way. That's why I created AttackWatch.com, a website devoted to shutting down the free expression of all subversive, counter-revolutionary ideas. A place where you can report those who spread rumors, nasty emails, and public utterances attacking me. If you love me, you'll turn in anyone engaged in these types of activity. Friends, family, associates, children, anyone.
If you're tired of hearing how President Obama single-handedly screwed up the economy, hijacked healthcare, mishandled foreign policy...
That's enough!
Drop the ball!
I'm turning you in!
Wanted old people to take a pill and die!
AttackWatch.com. We're watching you.
Hey, folks, it's not just ABC getting after Obama. Late-breaking news. Obama taking flack from all sides now. Fidel Castro has just written, and he hasn't been writing much lately. Fidel not feeling well, but he's just posted in his weekly blog that Obama's being stupid. That's gotta hurt. That's gotta hurt. Next thing you know, Hugo Chavez be blaming Obama for his kidney problems. A guy just cannot catch a break. Last week, Castro wrote on his blog that Obama's historic address to the United Nations was gibberish. Now, we've reported Fidel to attackwatch.com. You don't need to worry about that. We've handled it. But, gee, I mean, folks, they're lining up on all sides. Do you think Fidel wants Hillary? What? No, define want. Do you think Fidel wants Hillary to be president? We're not even sure the congressional black Caucasians anymore want Obama. Anyway, we're back. Broadcast excellence is what we do here. I, L. Rushbo, doing what I was born to do, and so are you. I was born to host. You were born to listen. And it's worked well for 23 plus years. Cybercast News Service Census Bureau admitted a couple of days ago that it had artificially inflated the number of same-sex couples in the U.S., initially reporting a number that was about 40% higher than what it now believes is accurate. The original data published by the 2010 census set the number of same-sex households in America 2010 at 901,997, including 349,377 same-sex married couple households. But the Census Bureau said in a Tuesday conference call with reporters that it has revised these numbers downward because the Census Bureau staff discovered an inconsistency in the responses in the 2010 census summary file statistics that artificially inflated the number of same-sex couples. So what they found is that there are 131,000 same-sex married couples, 514,000 same-sex unmarried partner households, for a grand total of 646,000 same-sex couple households, as opposed to the original figure of 901,000 same-sex households. So, a neat little trick here. I think this is common, overstating things like this. Now, let's get on to this Solyndra business and the solar industry stuff. A lot of people are making noise today about the fact that one of the companies that ended up getting a lot of money from the feds has a Pelosi family member, brother-in-law, brother something that's involved in this. That is true, but I don't know that that's a major factor. It's interesting, but this is from thehill.com, and this is the story that we mentioned toward the end of the program. It just appeared as a news flash. We mentioned it when the news broke that $737 million loan to Crescent Dunes going to create 45 permanent jobs. Basically, this is the story that these jobs are going to cost $200,000 each. All this money to the solar industry companies out there, $200,000 per job, given the number of jobs the regime says will be created. The Energy Department announced yesterday it has finalized more than $1 billion in loan guarantees to two separate solar energy projects. That's the news we had about 50 minutes left in the show. The DOE announced a $737 million loan guarantee to help finance construction of the Crescent Dunes solar energy project. It's a 110-megawatt solar power generating facility in Nye County, Nevada. The project sponsored by Tonopah Solar, a subsidiary of California-based Solar Reserve. The Energy Department said that the project will result in 600 construction jobs and 45 permanent jobs. That works out to $16.3 million per permanent job. And if you roll in the ancillary jobs like the conservative jobs, that's how you get each job costing $200,000. But the actual permanent jobs in the solar industry will cost between $16 and $23 million each. And I'll tell you what's happening out there. Who was the first person that you can recall characterizing the stimulus bill and all of these things as Obama slush funds? That's right, it was I, your host, El Rushbo. And now, depending on where you go in the blogosphere and in the media, you will see other people now concluding that all this is a giant Obama slush fund. This is federal taxpayer dollars being sent to Obama campaign bundlers, donors, and contributors. And then the money comes back, a portion of it comes back to Obama as campaign donations again. People have been asking, in light of Solyndra going bankrupt and abusing the $523 million loan, why is the regime authorizing $1 billion more in the middle of what is an obvious crony capitalism scandal? Why is the regime doing it? Why is the regime continuing to fund, it's not just actually these two companies, there's many more than that. Why is the regime continuing to fund more and more solar business startups in light of Solyndra? And the answer is, it isn't about green energy. That's the talking point. That's what Obama says. That's supposed to get everybody going swooning. Oh, he cares about global warming and climate change. He wants to save the planet. He wants to lower the sea levels. He's committed to a clean environment for our children and grandchildren. It's a slush fund. It is a series of slush funds. It's a payoff for these people who bundled and donated and contributed to Obama and got others to do so. It's a way of getting money back to them under the guise of some new startup business. And then that money, just like the stimulus bill, we chronicled how much of the stimulus bill just in Wisconsin alone went to employ teachers, unionized state employees. They not shovel-ready jobs, just to keep teachers employed in the middle of a recession, not just Wisconsin, but we focused on Wisconsin as our example. They all pay union dues. The union dues all go back to the Democrat Party. It's a way of getting you to unwittingly give money to Obama and the Democrat Party under the guise of saving the planet, under the guise of protecting the environment, under the guise of clean and renewable energy, under the guise of all of these wonderful, great intentions. It's not about the green industry, and it isn't about green jobs. It's about getting green into the Democrat coffers. I mean, come on, folks. 45 permanent jobs resulting from $1 billion in loans, startup costs for solar industry firms. 45 permanent jobs at between $16 and $23 million a job. That's not what this is about. Energy Secretary Stephen Chu, who is really, really wrapped up deep in this. And if there needs to be a fall guy on this, that's who it's going to be. Mark my words. Stephen Chu said, and he's a Nobel Prize winner, by the way, right along with Obama. If we want to be a player in the global clean energy race, we must continue to invest in innovative technologies that enable commercial scale deployment of clean renewables power like solar. Solar generation facilities like the Crescent Dunes Solar Energy Project help supply energy to local utilities and create hundreds of good American clean energy jobs. Right, at a mere $16 million per job. I mean, anybody stop to think maybe we can't afford to be a player in the global clean energy race if it's $16 million a job? Or maybe this isn't the role of government. Maybe this is something the private sector would do better. The Crescent Dunes facility will generate power using concentrated solar power technology in which a series of mirrors direct sunlight onto a receiver at the center of the plant, kind of like the way you used to kill ants with a magnifying glass. Except we're looking to power whole cities with this, which we can't do. And in the process, how many birds and insects are these people going to kill? Now, don't forget, public sector union employees in Wisconsin got more than 3/4 of all stimulus money sent to Wisconsin. That's what we uncovered. 75% of the stimulus money for Wisconsin went to public sector union employees, all of whom pay dues, which means that all of that money goes to the Democrat Party, or the lion's share of it. And that's what this solar energy stuff is. It's just a series of Democrat Party slush funds. Investors.com, the old Investors Business Daily, has their own version of the story. Department of Energy mulls green energy loans at $23 million per job. The Daily Caller with a piece, more solar companies led by Democrat donors receive federal loan guarantees. A Daily Caller investigation has found that in addition to the failed company Solyndra, at least 4 other solar panel manufacturing companies receiving in excess of $500 million in loan guarantees from the Obama regime employ executives or board members who have donated large sums of money to Democrat campaigns. Companies like First Solar, Solar Reserve, Sun Power Corporation, and Abengos SA have already collectively received billions in loans through regime stimulus programs to build solar power plants in the southwestern United States. Yet each, with the exception of the privately held Solar Reserve, has seen its stock price hammered at the same time it was lobbying the regime in Congress for billions in loan guarantees. The Hill newspaper reported yesterday that the Santa Monica, California-based Solar Reserve has secured a $737 million loan guarantee from the Department of Energy for a Nevada solar project. That company has ties to George Kaiser, the Oklahoma billionaire who raised $53,500 for Obama's campaign in 2008. He's got a company called Argonaut, private equity firm. He holds a majority stake in Solyndra. It's a slush fund. Solyndra is a slush fund. Solar Reserve is a slush fund. Every loan guarantee to a solar energy company is a slush fund. Now, the Daily Caller almost buries their own scoop here by getting dragged down in too many financial details. In a nutshell, just to sum all of this up, 4 other solar companies got generous loans from the regime, even though every one of them was in bad financial shape. But they are all connected to the Democrat Party. Solar Reserve, they're the ones that got $737 million, seems to be the most egregious. In fact, there's some overlap even between Solar Reserve and Solyndra. That's George Kaiser. Solar Reserve's connections reads like a textbook example of crony capitalism at its worst. And you notice Obama has even given loans to a Spanish solar company. That's the Abengoa SA. That's the Spanish solar company. Now, we thought, sitting here, didn't we, that the whole point was to try to help U.S. companies be more competitive. Now, we think they all got special favors. I'm sure some Republican solar energy firms got some money, right? No, I'm wrong about that. That actually didn't happen. And here's ABC News. And this is from state-controlled media. This is a lengthy, in-depth look at the back-scratching money laundering scheme between Obama and his fundraisers and the companies the fundraisers invest in. And basically what's going on is our tax dollars are used to pay back donors. These people donate to Obama. These slush funds are set up for the solar energy company so they can be paid back. And then they oftentimes end up working for the regime to boot. Now, this ABC piece is significant. Random act of journalism, though it may be. This ABC Post piece exposes corruption in a corrupt theology. Wacko environmentalism. You cannot discuss any of this. And you cannot have any of this going on without first having established this hoax of global warming. Because if you don't establish that, if you haven't created that lie, then there's no need for all these green energy, solar energy firms, and there's no need to fund them, and there's no good intentions involved. So this is long planned, long laid out, but it's just a slush fund. Or a series of them. The ABC headline, Obama fundraisers tied to green firms that got federal cash. It's one of these cases, folks, where you just follow the money. Follow the money, and it all ends up in two places: back in the pockets of those who donated and raised money for Obama, and in Democrat Party campaign coffers. That's where the money ends up.
Now, see who Rush nominates for Obama's ugliest czar in the October Limbaugh letter. Call 888-395-7874. You're listening to the EIB Network.
I want my Al TV!
And you'll want your Al TV too.
Hi, I'm Al Gore. Remember me? Now I've got my own cable TV channel called Al TV.
Al TV, committed to being young and irreverent.
Cool, huh?
We'll discuss the issues that you care about, like global warming.
This is the sound of a cow threatening the world. They used to love that when I was vice president.
Call your cable operator and demand Al TV.
That's G-O-R-E.
Youthful and irreverent. Kind of like a radio shock jock.
With short hair.
It's Al TV.
I know you'll remember this. I'm the one who stuck his tongue down Tipper's throat at the convention.
Ew. Tell those money-hungry cable operators you want your Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
The 1950s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
Nothing, sir.
Don't give me that. It's one of those C things.
A condom?
Don't take it out right now. I certainly hope you weren't planning to use the thing.
No, sir.
You won't now. I'm taking that C thing and destroying it.
Yes, sir, but just one thing. Don't tell my parents.
The 1990s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Yes, Jimmy. Take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
I don't have a circle.
Just as I thought. Put this in your wallet right now.
This C thing?
It's a condom, Jimmy, and you better make plans right now to use it.
Yes, sir. I won't destroy your faith in me.
Good, Jimmy, but just one thing. Don't tell your parents.
This message has been brought to you by Bungee Condoms, celebrating 40 years of progress. From being hidden in your dad's wallet to being handed out in your schools. Bungee Condoms, where quality is more than just a word. It's a slogan.
Be an army of at least one. By volunteering for duty as a DNC seminar caller, you'll receive advanced basic training from our sensitive, caring professionals.
What's your number, soldier?
1-800-282-2885.
How you gonna make it past the call screener if you don't know the number? Drop and give me 20 on the rotary dial. The rest of you, repeat after me. I love your show, and I always agree with you. And I voted for Bush.
And you'll earn promotions and medals.
Son, we're very proud of you. What's that medal for? This one's for touch tone. This is for getting past the call screener, and this big one here is for actually talking to the host and flawlessly saying, I love your show, I always agree with you, and I voted for Bush.
Be on radio and say what we want you to say. All scripts provided by the Democratic National Committee. Help us take back our monopoly on public opinion. Volunteers especially needed from noon to 3 Eastern. Most Americans.
Get this. No sooner do I finish describing for you the machinations of this trust slush fund business. From, let's see, this is the Washington Examiner, Beltway Confidential, a piece by Joel Gerke. Steve Mitchell and Argonaut Private Equity. This is one of the firms tied to one of the new, just told you about this, one of the new solar energy companies getting $737 million. Steve Mitchell and Argonaut Private Equity might have a chance to recoup some of their losses in the Solyndra debacle now that the Department of Energy has given a $737 million loan guarantee to a company backed by Argonaut that lists Mitchell as a board. Some people who lost money at Solyndra are being repaid through the funding of another solar energy company. And one of them is this guy, Steve Mitchell, who served on the Solyndra board of directors, reportedly still serves on the board. He's a board participant for Solar Reserve, the parent company of Tonopah Solar, which is on the receiving end of this $737 million. It's a slush fund, folks. It's pure and simple. You know, there's going to be a day, folks, the word esteem is known both as a way of expressing oneself, a feeling about oneself, and also as a description of a product that restores the hearing of somebody who's lost it. I think that day is going to come, and I'll tell you why. For those people who are hard of hearing, esteem is the last hearing device you'll ever want, you'll ever need. If you've suffered hearing loss, you'll understand what I'm describing. You have a tendency to want to go through different hearing aids. None of them are perfect. Many of them just amplify all the other noise around you. It makes it louder, but it doesn't improve your speech comprehension. None of them are perfect. Many of them just actually make a bigger mess. But esteem uses your own eardrum to restore hearing. It actually restores your natural hearing. The Esteem surgical procedure installs a prosthetic ear. It's an implant. Nobody sees it. It's not a device that anybody will see. It's revolutionary in how you regain your lost hearing. It's one of those inventions that make you smile at living in a modern medical age. If you or somebody you know has lost some percentage of their hearing, you really owe it to yourself to investigate how Esteem works and what happens to a recipient after they have one of these things installed. I've met a recipient. I've been absolutely impressed how this works. The best place to learn about the Esteem is at envoymedical.com. That's ENVOY medical.com. You can call them if you'd rather do that. 800-518-7320, 800-518-7320, or envoymedical.com. This is revolutionary. It's not a hearing aid. It actually restores your natural hearing using your own eardrum. It is amazing. envoymedical.com. Is your terror cell living in terror?
Now this word from the New York Times to jihadists everywhere.
Is your safe house not that safe? If you want your sleeper cell to sleep safely, read the New York Times.
Jihadists everywhere depend on the New York Times.
I saved my sleeper cell thanks to the New York Times.
For information you can't get anywhere else.
Did you know your phone calls are traced? Did you know your money transfers are being intercepted?
Now, thanks to the New York Times, you will be safe and secure.
I rerouted my terror funds thanks to the New York Times.
From Tora Bora to Tijuana, terrorists everywhere depend on the New York Times.
Because you'll find all the secret stuff that makes news meaningful to you.
Plus, exciting bonus features.
Daily attacks on the infidels by Maureen O'Dowd and Paul Al Krugman and Tom Al Friedman. Not to mention the entire front page of our newspaper, which is daily attacks on the infidels.
Gift subscriptions available.
We offer at the New York Times quantity discounts for large terror cells, educational discounts for madrasas and terrorist training camps. Read the New York Times and your sleeper cell can sleep safely.
Even in the deepest, darkest cave, you'll be the first to get inside knowledge of what the infidels have in mind to wipe you out.
New York Times, The Infidels, Jihad Journal.
What's faster than a golf cart? and more convenient than a bicycle. The all-new Chevrolet Volt from Government Motors.
The Chevrolet Volt is the game changer that America's been waiting for a huge subsidy to buy. Its unique green technology makes it able to go up to 40 miles on a single charge. You'll feel great about your contribution to the environment every time you plug it in and wait to go to the mall, wait to go to work, and wait to go back home. And with Fannie Mae financing, you don't have to qualify for a loan or pay it back if you don't want to. So buy yours today before we find out you didn't.
The Chevrolet Volt, the new people's car from Government Motors. 40-mile range estimated based on downhill test only without air conditioning. Extension cord, D-cell batteries, duct tape, and rubber bands not included. $7,500 subsidy may be taxed as income if we feel like it. Coming up next on Modern Classic Western Theater, another chapter in the continuing saga of the debt ceiling showdown at Dry Wallet Creek. President Obama's working on his poker game in the bunkhouse as the Gang of Six approach.
Now, when do I get to say go fish?
Mr. President, there's 6 senators outside.
Stop right where you are. I'm not giving up, and I'm not giving in.
You don't have to. We worked it all out.
Yeah, and I bet I don't have to put the money back in the bank either.
Nope, just sign this here paper, and the money's all yours. We'll even give you more on credit.
Yeah, sure, and then you'll bushwhack me in the press.
We won't. We just signed on to the deal ourselves.
I still don't believe it. Who are you?
We're bipartisan. We're the Gang of Six gang.
Well, why didn't you say so? Come on in. You boys had me going there. I thought I was going to have to give up. Oh, no, Mr. President. We're with you.
How you doing, Mr. President?
Yeah, it's just like old times when Bush was in office.
I thought you were those hombres with the balanced budget thing.
Yeah, that's some kind of fighting.
You're my kind of guy.
No fighting, no cussing, no shooting. Just everyone getting along and going along down the trail on Modern Classic Western Theater.
Here's Richard in Tacoma, Washington, as we go back to the phones. Welcome, Jim. Great to have you here.
Yeah, Richard here in Tacoma, Rush, and I never doubt you.
Thank you very much, Richard. I appreciate it.
All right. Now, let me start out with what I think is most important, and that is the Republican message to Hispanics. And that is if you are Hispanic and in the country legally, and you work in agriculture, food service, landscaping, meat packing, hospitality, or you're unemployed, and you support amnesty and or continued illegal immigration, you're stupid. Okay? You're just stupid.
Why do you want the Republicans to say that?
Because that is the message that the Hispanics got to understand. If you are in the country legally and you have a job or you don't have a job, we are running out of resources to support anyone and everyone. So, what would you think?
Well, I'm puzzled here over of all the things that the country faces, and winning the election against Obama. That's the thing that you think the Republicans need to do.
Oh, I'm just saying to Hispanic voters.
Well, I know,
if you support continued illegal immigration, you're cutting your own throat.
Well, there's no question that's true. I'm not disputing the logic of what you're saying, but I don't know how high up on the totem pole I put the message.
Well, we keep on handing out sugar pills to these people. We need to let them know that if you're voting for current members of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, you're also cutting your throat, because they just want more people to come in and take your job, and more people on. We're running out of resources for welfare.
No, they don't want people coming in here working. That's what the Democrat Party didn't want. The illegal immigrants coming here working. They want them voting. They want them on the welfare rolls. They don't want them working. They're not a threat to anybody with a job. in terms of what the Democrat Party intends for him. Look, I don't disagree with the logic of what you're saying. It all hinges on the belief here that identity politics works, that Hispanics are going to vote in unison in monolithic ways, and they're going to support Hispanics regardless. Whether they're rapists, murderers, illegal immigrants, or whatever, I don't know that that's necessarily true. I think that's another one of these myths. Now, it is true of some ethnic groups. It could be true of Hispanics too. I don't know. I'm just not an identity politics guy. I don't. This is probably why I'm never ever going to be a political advisor. I don't even think this way. In terms of advising somebody, a Republican candidate, on what to say, that would never cross my mind. To start calling people stupid, you're opening yourself up for all kinds of. Well, I don't have a message for women voters, and I don't have a message for male voters, and I don't have a message for Hispanic voters. I don't have a message for black voters. I have just a message for voters. Maybe I make the mistake assuming they're all Americans, and I would speak to them that way. But look, that's why I do this and not that. I listen to political people talk about what they've got to do to win elections, and I just scratch my head. They're the experts. How they have to go to this particular block of votes and that particular block of votes, and the policy they have to do that. And I just don't think that way. Well, if I went to an Hispanic audience, I'd talk to them about American exceptionalism. I talk about American exceptionalism. You're here, you want to be an American, you want to be an exceptional American, here's what we're all about. Here's how you do it. I'll give them a little American history. I wouldn't do it. I mean, when I go out very rarely anymore and do a Rush to Excellence tour, I couldn't care less who's in the audience. I don't even look out okay, how many Hispanics are here? I got to make sure I say something. I don't even think that way. And I don't, I got some women out there and they're pretty old. Boy, I better say X. And I got some young women too. Boy, I better moderate what I'm going to say. I don't think that way. I just don't. That's why I never qualified to be a politician. Grab audio soundbite. It's the last one. Number 23. You want to hear a politician? This is just disgusting. This is how particularly the liberal politicians think. This is Mayor Doomberg in New York is at the United Nations during a General Assembly summit on non-communicable diseases. So the mayor of New York is at a summit at the UN on non-communicable diseases, which is a discussion that included diet and eating habits. And this is what he said.
There are powers only governments can exercise, policies only governments can mandate and enforce, and results only governments can achieve. To halt the worldwide epidemic of non-communicable diseases, governments at all levels must make healthy solutions the default social option. That is, ultimately, government's highest duty.
Diet. What we eat, according to Mayor Doomberg, is government's highest duty. If I ever found myself in elective office, the last thing I would think about is telling people what they have to eat, and I'm going to be the one telling them. But that's who this guy is. We're facing a worldwide epidemic of government. We do not have a worldwide epidemic of starvation or of obesity, or we got a worldwide epidemic of socialism. We have a worldwide epidemic of too much government, too big government, Marxism, there's an epidemic of a lack of freedom. That this is just absurd. But he gets elected. Anyway, grab audio soundbite number 12 and 13. This is the forehead on CNN. Anderson Cooper, 94. I am stunned. I just have to share this. I am stunned Anderson Cooper has time to go to CNN. I read the New York Post every morning, page 6, and I read the New York Daily News, and in both those, every day, Anderson Cooper is at this health club or that spa. He's at this restaurant or that movie opening, or he's at this bar or whatever. This guy spends more time outside of CNN than he does there. I mean, how does he have time to host Anderson Cooper 94? Well, I don't know if it's show prep. What's show prep? Show prep is, getting an advanced copy of what's on a teleprompter. If you do TV news, isn't that show prep? They show you what's on the prompter, and maybe you look at a couple of videos, and they tell you what reporter in the field is going to be talking to you when. And then some producer writes the questions that you ask the reporter. The reporter's answers are on the teleprompter, and then your response to the reporter is on the teleprompter. I've always been amazed. They get the anchor and the reporter, and they're doing a story. The reporter's out there in the field doing it. The reporter finishes, and the anchor says, well, reporter, what about X and Y? And, reporter, that's an excellent question. Well, if it's an excellent question, why didn't you include it in your report? And the reason it's not included in the report is so that the anchor can be made to look like he knows what's going on. Pure and simple. I can see on the faces of these reporters, sometimes the anchors go off script and ask something so weird. The reporters are holding the microphone, well, I think I just said, blah, 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 blah. That's funny. It's so formulaic. So formulaic. I'm sure probably, Anderson Cooper or whoever, I don't mean to harp on Anderson Cooper, I'm just saying, I read more about where he is outside of CNN than what he's doing inside CNN. And I guess when he's on the treadmill, got his iPad there, they can send over PDF copies, the Wi-Fi of the teleprompter. Get prep on it. Anyway, here's the forehead is on with Anderson Cooper last night. Cooper said, Paul, not a lot of great news from some key states for the president's campaign. How much show prep did that question take? Really? Paul, not a lot of great news from some key states for the president's campaign.
The iron law of incumbents is the only way to run is to run scared, but this president has to run really scared. The data is very bad.
So I'm telling you, very bad. The internals are not good. And then the forehead didn't wait for the next question from the anchor. He just kept going.
The president has a path to victory here, but I think it's a path he's on, frankly. I've been thrilled with him these last few weeks. In our research, independent voters, swing voters in a swing state who we talk to, they want him to fight. This is not the liberal base. Independents want him to fight if he's fighting for the middle class. That's what those independents want, a fighter and somebody who's fighting for the middle class.
Yeah, so here you go. The constant urgings for Obama are to stay out there on the left fringe. Better stay out there. That's the path that you got to be on, the left fringe. Now, we had yesterday Obama lost his cool with BET, and it says here that he lost his cool with Hispanic media. This is yesterday at the White House. Obama participated in an open for questions roundtable, responding to questions from readers of Yahoo, MSN Latino, AOL Latino, and HuffPost Latino voices on issues that matter most to the Hispanic community. And an unidentified guy said, Mr. President, I'm an undocumented law graduate from New York City. And I'm just writing to say that your message, that you do not have a dance partner, is not a message of hope. A real dancer goes out on a dance floor and picks out his or her dance partner. You're just waiting. You've got the facts, the numbers, the dollars, and the votes on the side of granting administrative relief for dreamers. We're doing our part. It's time you do yours, Mr. President.
This notion that somehow I can just change the laws unilaterally is just not true. I think that there's been a great disservice done to the cause of getting the DREAM Act passed and getting comprehensive immigration passed by perpetrating the notion that somehow by myself I can go and do these things. It's just not true. We live in a democracy.
Damn it.
You have to pass bills through the legislature and then I can sign it.
Damn it. If I were Castro or Chavez, I wouldn't have to worry about all that crap.
The most powerful name in talk radio, Rush, on the EIB network.
Al TV.
And you'll want your Al TV too.
Hi, I'm Al Gore. Remember me? Now I've got my own cable TV channel called Al TV.
Al TV, committed to being young and irreverent.
Cool, huh?
We'll discuss the issues that you care about, like global warming.
This is the sound of a cow threatening the world. They used to love that when I was vice president.
Call your cable operator and demand Al TV.
That's G-O-R-E.
Youthful and irreverent. Kind of like a radio shock jock.
With short hair.
It's Al TV.
I know you'll remember this. I'm the one who stuck his tongue down Tipper's throat at the convention.
Ew.
Tell those money-hungry cable operators you want your Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
The 1950s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
Nothing, sir.
Don't give me that. It's one of those C things.
A condom?
Don't take it out right now. I certainly hope you weren't planning to use the thing.
No, sir.
You won't now. I'm taking that C thing and destroying it.
Yes, sir, but just one thing. Don't tell my parents.
The 1990s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Yes, Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
I don't have a circle.
Just as I thought. Put this in your wallet right now.
This C thing?
It's a condom, Jimmy, and you better make plans right now to use it.
Yes, sir. I won't destroy your faith in me.
Good, Jimmy, but just one thing. Don't tell your parents.
This message has been brought to you by Bungee Condoms, celebrating 40 years of progress. From being hidden in your dad's wallet to being handed out in your schools. Bungee Condoms, where quality is more than just a word. It's a slogan.
Be an army of at least one. By volunteering for duty as a DNC seminar caller, you'll receive advanced basic training from our sensitive, caring professionals.
What's your number, soldier?
1-800-282-2885.
How you gonna make it past the call screen if you don't know the number? Drop and give me 20 on the rotary dial. The rest of you, repeat after me. I love your show, and I always agree with you. And I voted for Bush.
And you'll earn promotions and medals.
Son, we're very proud of you. What's that medal for? This one's for touch tone. This is for getting past the call screener, and this big one here is for actually talking to the host and flawlessly saying, I love your show, I always agree with you, and I voted for Bush.
Be on radio and say what we want you to say. All scripts provided by the Democratic National Committee. Help us take back our monopoly on public opinion. Volunteers especially needed from noon to 3 Eastern. Most Americans think that illegals should head back home. We used to think so too, till we realized illegals could pay 21% interest on their credit cards, just like the gringos. Introducing the all-new Bank of Amigo card. The Bank of Amigo card is the best friend an undocumented worker ever had. Packed with special features like bonus points for every day you're in our country. Good towards health care, border crossings, college education, fake IDs, and so much more. And the Bank of Amigo card is the only card endorsed by Senator John McCain.
If you need cash and can't wait till mañana, then the Bank of Amigo card is for you. Plus, the more you owe, the less likely you are to be deported.
There's no immigration check, no social security number required. Just sign your name, or anybody else's, on the dotted line.
Caramba, it's easier than sneaking in. Thanks, Bank of Amigo.
The Bank of Amigo card, because when it comes to money, we're all amigos.
By the way, that Hispanic roundtable that we just played that last soundbite from, we're wondering whether the guy who asked the question has been deported yet. He was an undocumented law student. Anyway, not one person at that Hispanic roundtable asked a question about Fast and Furious. Not one person, and a lot of Hispanics have died. Fast and Furious has killed a whole lot of Hispanics. Not one question about it. By the way, coming up in the current issue of a Limbaugh letter, it's on its way to subscribers now, is a 2-page spread on Obama's big green money laundering scheme. Detailed explanation of the entire slush fund operation that is Solyndra, solar energy, all this green garbage. 2-page spread coming up in the current issue. Limbaugh letter. Get this. The company, wait a second, the laid off Solyndra employees are now applying for federal retraining funds. Ex-employees of Solyndra have applied for aid under the federal government's Trade Adjustment Assistance Program. Labor departments confirmed this. If approved, the employees of what was once touted, blah, 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 will be eligible for more federal money to enable them to be retrained for other jobs. They'll get $13,000 apiece. It'll cost us $14,300,000 to retrain these people that worked at Solyndra. It never stops, folks. It just never stops. By the way, beware of robocalls claiming your debit card has been locked. This is going on in Massachusetts. The Attorney General there, Martha Coakley, is warning of robocalls tied to identity theft scams. What's happening is people are getting a phone call. It's a robocall, so you can't talk to it. And it's a computer, and they're telling you that your debit card's been locked and you can't use it. And they need the number for you to unlock it, and they're just thieves. Identity theft is not just your credit card data. It's your bank information. It's if your identity is actually totally stolen, not just credit card stuff, you have months of misery ahead of you putting yourself back together. You don't need to go through that. Just become a LifeLock member. Call 1-800-LifeLock. Mention RUSH. That's the offer code, and you'll save 10% off what's already ridiculously inexpensive. LifeLock. They've got the best identity alert system going. People trying to steal your identity, your credit card data, whatever, are caught in the process. 1-800-LifeLock. Offer code RUSH. Wendy in Atlanta. I got about a minute, but I wanted to squeeze you in there.
Hi, Rush. I wanted to respond to your not voting if Mitt Romney is the candidate for Republicans.
Madam.
That would be me.
You will not vote in the presidential race if Romney is the nominee.
Yes. I have to say that you taught me better, and you taught me to be a better conservative, and you taught me to be actually conservative and stand for principles, and Romney doesn't seem to be that way. And luckily, in my lifetime, the Tea Party has come along, and which seemed more conservative than even Republicans were supposed to be.
Oh, they are.
And
the Republican establishment doesn't dig the Tea Party.
Right. Right. The Tea Party has been such a boost to Republicans and to conservatives who were watching their candidates and their elected officials come to the center, walk to the center, and compromise on their values. And that's why the Tea Party has been so phenomenal for those of us who want to remain conservative.
Okay, well, I wanted to hear from one of you. I don't have time to talk to you about it now, but I'm glad to know that you're out there, and I'm sure there are a lot more people like you. I'm detecting a massive anti-Romney sentiment out there. There's no question about it. So that's just another thing I have to do. Okay, I'm ready.
Rush Limbaugh. America is listening on the EIB network.
I want my Al TV!
And you'll want your Al TV too.
Hi, I'm Al Gore. Remember me? Now I've got my own cable TV channel called Al TV.
Al TV, committed to being young and irreverent.
Cool, huh?
We'll discuss the issues that you care about, like global warming.
This is the sound of a cow threatening the world. They used to love that when I was vice president.
Call your cable operator and demand Al TV.
That's G-O-R-E.
Youthful and irreverent. Kind of like a radio shock jock.
With short hair.
It's Al TV.
I know you'll remember this. I'm the one who stuck his tongue down Tipper's throat at the convention.
Ew. Tell those money-hungry cable operators you want your Al TV.
I want my Al TV.
The 1950s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Jimmy, take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
Nothing, sir.
Don't give me that. It's one of those C things.
A condom?
Don't take it out right now. I certainly hope you weren't planning to use the thing.
No, sir.
You won't now. I'm taking that C thing and destroying it.
Yes, sir, but just one thing. Don't tell my parents.
The 1990s.
You wanted to see me, Principal Smith?
Yes, Jimmy. Take out your wallet.
My wallet?
What is that circle imprinted on the side?
I don't have a circle.
Just as I thought. Put this in your wallet right now.
This C thing?
It's a condom, Jimmy, and you better make plans right now to use it.
Yes, sir. I won't destroy your faith in me.
Good, Jimmy, but just one thing. Don't tell your parents.
This message has been brought to you by Bungee Condoms, celebrating 40 years of progress. From being hidden in your dad's wallet to being handed out in your schools. Bungee Condoms, where quality is more than just a word. It's a slogan.
Be an army of at least one. By volunteering for duty as a DNC seminar caller, you'll receive advanced basic training from our sensitive, caring professionals.
What's your number, soldier?
1-800-282-2885.
How you gonna make it past the call screener if you don't know the number? Drop and give me 20 on the rotary dial. The rest of you, repeat after me. I love your show, and I always agree with you. And I voted for Bush.
And you'll earn promotions and medals.
Son, we're very proud of you. What's that medal for? This one's for touch tone. This is for getting past the call screener, and this big one here is for actually talking to the host and flawlessly saying, I love your show, I always agree with you, and I voted for Bush.
Be on radio and say what we want you to say. All scripts provided by the Democratic National Committee. Help us take back our monopoly on public opinion. Volunteers especially needed from noon to 3 Eastern. Most Americans.
Think about this. Obama demanding money in his jobs bill to train people for green technology. And at the same time, we're training people on how to do something other than green technology when we shut down their firms. This job retraining, that's another slush fund. That's all it is. And we'll be back. Open line Friday tomorrow. Can't wait. We'll see you then.